Herkese merhaba arkadaşlar. Ben
Hello guys.
أهلا وسهلا.
I think it's good and fun experience to be here.
ကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီပွဲကိုဝင်ရောက်ဆော့ဖို့အတွက်တော့နည်းနည်းစဉ်းစားခဲ့ရတယ်ပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒါနဲ့နည်းနည်းတော့စဉ်းစားခဲ့ရပါတော့
aslında takımımızın hikayesi çok uzun bir hikaye dayıyor. Hepimiz çok eskiden beri tanışıyoruz. 5-6 sene uzayan bir hikayesi var.
Deus Vult образовалась как команда вообще как команда очень давно.
شكل الفريق على التحديات وعلى التجارب. جمعنا فريقنا كلنا كنا في دولة الإمارات.
I started playing 1.5 years ago. Now we have 3 Cambodian player and 2 Philippine player.
манай баг 2 жилийн өмнө Турк руу boot camp хийх гээд явсан байгаа. Тэр үед анх багтаага танилцчихсан. Тэндээс Филиппин, Турк, Малайз гээд багуудад биш улсуудад boot camp хийжсэн байгаа.
Yani ayrı şehirlerde yaşıyoruz. O biraz bize sorun yaratıyor. والباقيين يعني تقدرون تقولون جيراننا حتى قريبين من البيت يعني نشوفهم كثير يعني غير اللعبة نشوفهم في الحياة الواقعية فتيمنا صار بالتجارب والتحديات المستمرة ونلعب البطولات ونتعلم.
Physical tournament is good organizer.
Некоторые команды на этом турнире, у них есть международный опыт, прям недавний международный опыт, то есть кто-то был на чемпионате мира, и кто-то был еще на международном турнире, мы же не были, соответственно, у нас чуть поменьше практики в этом плане.
Муу баг хэрэг баг бол байхгүй байгаа. Сайн баг гэвэл Хуучин, Турки биднэртэй тоглож ирсэн энсэндээ байгаа.
Turnuvadaki takımların hepsi çok güçlü. Bu turnuvadaki planımız kesinlikle birincilik.
Тэгэл ихэнх багууд ер нь бол улс улсын ер нь гайгүй багууд орж ирлээ.
احنا جينا من مصر إن شاء الله البطولة بتاعت روسيا عشان نمثل مصر إن شاء الله في البطولة وإن شاء الله نحقق مستوى كويس في البطولة.
كقائد فريق هذا شيء صعب طبعا. Ya takımda kaptan olmanın öyle çok zor bir yanı yok aslında. Buradaki oyuncuların hepsi bana destek olduğu için.
Oh my god.
Багийн ахлагч байх үед нэг тийм дарамт маранд нэг байхгүй.
Sebenarnya agak sukar untuk menjadi kapten.
For me it's fine because I have a lot of experience before. I play a lot of PC game and mobile game.
قدر ما تقدر انك تحاول تكون صبور وتحاول تعطي انطباع حسن حق لاعبينك حق التيم. Hani kendimi kaptandan ziyade hepsini aynı yerde tutuyorum.
Особо такой работы я не провожу, много, по крайней мере, то есть очень редко такие какие-то мотивационные речи, успокаивающие речи, но это все как бы оно должно быть и так фундаментально у самих игроков.
فأنت تحاول توصل لهم قدر الإمكان عشان تفهم هم شو يبغوا منك فهاي أسهل طريقة إنك تحاول تفهمهم.
وإن أنا بوبخ فريقي لا أنا ما بوبخش فريقي لأن إحنا كلنا إخوات قبل ما نبقى تيم أو بلايرز إحنا في الأول في الأساس عيلة فاميلي.
За Монголд үзэж байгаа манай дэмжиж байгаа хүмүүстээ бүгдэнд нь баярлалаа. Бид хэдий дэмжээрэй. Сонирхолтой тоглолтоор гарах байхаа л хичээлээ да.
وتقدروا إن أنتوا تشوفونا على Phygital Games كازان.
Takım arkadaşlarımı sizin buradan selamlıyorum. Hepsini çok seviyorum. Rakip takıma da başarılar diliyorum.
إن شاء الله نستنى دعمكم.
So kami harap korang dapat support kami dan doakan kami berjaya di sini.
وإن شاء الله إحنا راح نأدي أفضل ما عندنا.
وبالتوفيق للجميع إن شاء الله.
İyi olan kazansın.
Yimbambe Team Hak.
I'm ready to play.
February 2024. Russia presents, for the first time in history, an innovative international sporting event, Games of the Future. A cross-border tournament that combines physical and digital dimensions, bringing together sports, esports, and advanced technologies. Teams from every corner of the world will gather to compete across physical and digital challenges, each seeking glory and the chance to take home a portion of the impressive prize pool. Established by presidential decree and supported by top government officials the world over, this is the birth of the sporting future. For the first time, the physical and digital worlds will be woven together to create a new era of digital sports with one core mission: the promotion and development of a well-balanced individual. Digital gameplay enhanced by the energy of the crowd. You no longer need to choose between a ball or a gamepad. Here, the winners are crowned by achieving the best overall score across both traditional sports and digital gameplay. Games of the Future consists of 5 tournament clusters called Challenges. Sports Challenge, combining a selection of traditional sports disciplines with their video game counterparts, featuring Phygital knockout competitions where athletes must show their hybrid skills across both the digital and physical fields to play. Tactical Challenge, a contest in which athletes must demonstrate their team gameplay in tactical combat esports and show off their physical skills in a modern laser tag competition. Battle Challenge, an array of esports teams compete in popular strategy games, all hoping for a place in the giant live stadium final. Speedrun Challenge, pitting competitors against one another in a classic speedrun video game, as well as a real-world obstacle course. Technical Challenge. Athletes compete across an array of high-tech device-led sports, including robot battles, drone racing, cyber-athletics, and virtual reality games. This groundbreaking first-of-its-kind sports event will unite competitors and fans, offer up a new generation of sporting heroes, and provide an entirely new, emotionally driven audience experience. Millions of people around the world will become a part of Games of the Future movement by following live streams across digital and streaming platforms and attending live events. The inaugural Games of the Future will be held in February 2024. The host of the first games, Kazan, will greet thousands of athletes and teams from more than 100 countries. The taste of victory. New sporting heroes. Boundless emotion. And open to every country of the world. By uniting sports and technology, we unite the world. Games of the Future. Made in Russia for generations to come.
Phygital игры в Казани.
Пока моменты гранд-финала и второй карты Mobile Legends BM там была действительно борьба.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to day 3, the quarter and semifinals for the Phygital Games. We're seeing all these amazing teams fight it out for the 9th trophy. My name is Stephweezy, all the way from North America, and I'm joined by another amazing caster who, interesting enough, was my neighbor as well for a while. GD Aiko, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm excited. I can't wait to see some of these games. I've watched it a little bit and seen how these teams have come up, and I kind of want to see what they can do tonight, you know?
Yeah, I'm definitely excited with you, right? I mean, we've seen all these teams fight it out within the first 2 days through the group stage, and 2 teams got knocked out, right? So starting off today, we got an amazing two teams ready to go head-to-head. It is going to be Deus Vult up against Team Hack. So we're going to be watching them, see how they kind of play off inside of the playoffs. I mean, Team Hack, the Kings of Malaysia, going up against Deus Vult from Russia. So this is definitely going to be intense. All these teams so far for the quarterfinals, I know we were kind of talking about it off of a stream. They're 1-1 so far. So everything's on the line. Everybody has an even playing field, but I can't wait to see where it takes us as we are looking at today's schedule. Starting it off at 1500 UTC +3, we're going to be seeing Deus Vult versus Team Hack in the playoffs for the quarterfinals. And then right after that, starting at 1630, will be Axe Team versus Flux Impunity. And then kicking it off live, jumping straight into the semifinals, 1800, we are going to be seeing Falcon Esports, and that is going to be determined on who wins game 1. And then also at 1930, right after that, to finish it off with the final series of the day, we are going to be seeing Team Lilgun versus whoever wins from Axe Team and Flux Impunity. An exciting time for the Phygital Games. We got to see who's going to be able to make the most out of the situation and claim that 9th trophy.
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen earlier on in the competition, Group A, round 1 and round 2 here. We can see the teams. They've fought it out, and Deus Vult definitely coming out on top here. Team Lilgun coming out on top again on both sides. Flux as well in Group A. Going into Group B, round 1 and 2, we're looking at Team Axe taking round 1, round 2 going to Falcon Esports, and then the same thing in round 1. Falcon takes a 2-0, so 2 sweeps there for Falcon. And then in Group B, the last one, Team Hawk took that 2-0 against Aiko Esports there. This is going to be a great game tonight. Like Weezy said, some of these teams are kind of about 1-1. And I want to kind of see where they take it from here.
That's right. And speaking about taking it from here, looking at the bracket, I mean, just looked how stacked it is, right? We are currently at the quarterfinals. This is going to be a best of 3 for all of the games played today. So you got to make sure that you at least get one in. You don't want to get the 2-0 sweep on you. So looking at the bracket, Axe Team versus Flux Impunity at the top. On the bottom side of the bracket, Deus Vult versus Team Hack. Whoever moves forward will go on to the semifinals to go up against Team Lilgun and Falcon Esports. So this is definitely going to be a jam-packed event. And then tomorrow, we'll be seeing the battle for the grand finals and also the battle for 3rd place.
That's going to be where it's at, you know, the finals. I can't wait to see it. But tonight, these games are going to be action-packed, Weezy, man. I can't wait to see how this turns out. Since a lot of them are 1-1, you know, I want to see the tenacity. I want to see, you know, the fire, because like both of them are even. So this should be a really good game from both sides tonight.
Yeah, I mean, me and you being from North America, kind of swimming overseas to be able to see these amazing events and these amazing teams, right? We like to kind of compare what we see in North America. So definitely going to be looking at the meta. I know you kind of were looking at the table over there, and we saw an Angela with the highest ban rate so far. And that's not something we see in North America. So, you know, we definitely got our notebooks out, taking every little bit of gameplay that we see and possibly implementing it over here. So it's an exciting thing to be able to compare meta overseas to us. I guess we're overseas to everybody who's watching, but just to compare meta from different regions is what we love to see. And I can't wait with Deus Vult and Team Hack. I mean, we've seen Team Hack a little bit. Deus Vult, I haven't really got to see them as much through the years, but Team Hack, I mean, this is a team that's, you know, played in most of the international events outside of Todak, sometimes taking their place for Malaysia. So it's definitely going to be a battle, but nonetheless, I mean, Deus Vult's right. They're able to make it 1-1. Team Hack 1-1 as well. So with both these teams being even, it's just going to be a battle of who can get to those objectives first and also get these meta picks. And I don't know, maybe we see the Angela walk through today.
I'd like to see it. You know, it's something that we don't see in North America. So again, being an overseas tournament, I feel like it's an opportunity to learn a couple things, even in our book. You know, as casters, we're gonna take a couple things from how these players, you know, build. I want to see their synergies. I want to see their, you know, their styles. I want to see if they're, you know, if they've done their research, you know. And I'm guessing since, you know, the prize pool in USD is somewhere around like what, 33,000, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, that's a huge prize pool to be going for, and I would be doing my research.
Yeah, I mean, you got to, right? I mean, these are a lot of powerhouse names. I mean, even Falcon Esports, we seen them just how dominant they were not too long ago in these international events. I believe they even competed in MSC, right? So this is definitely going to be did they, or did Phoenix take it? It may have been Phoenix that took their spot, but Falcon Esports, nonetheless, we did see them kind of dominating all last year. So definitely some exciting times. I mean, they were able to make it up to the semifinals with Team Lilgun. So it's just going to be a battle of the quarterfinals right now, who can kind of move forward out of this hold and get one step closer to the Phygital Games 9th trophy.
Yeah, and it does look like we're building up here. The players are walking out to the stage. As you can see, they are shoulder to shoulder. I love it. That is what you love to see with some pro players. They're smiling, they're ready, and I think they're pumped here.
Yeah, they're definitely ready to put everything on the line. Battling it out in Kazan, Russia, all the way from the 20th to the 23rd. An amazing event as Team Hack. We're going to go ahead and take a look at them now, reigning from Malaysia and looking like they're about to put down a fight. I mean, just look at the stage, right? That's one thing we got to talk about. This is also going to... Oh, there you go. I love the team spirit right there as they're prepping to go into the land of Dawn up against Deus Vult. Man, I gotta say, this is already getting intense. I can feel the energy from these teams already. I mean, you've seen the team spirit right there coming alive over there from Malaysia.
I don't know, man. I think I like the shoulder to shoulder instead of, you know, the X. So well, I don't know. Deus Vult came out there hot. You know, they were holding shoulders. I don't know. I feel like this energy might be there at least in person for that team. Hey, but I can only imagine how wild the crowd's getting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting a little wild right now thinking about this Angela being 100% ban rate. So I do want to go ahead and see that possibly get picked up. It's going to be an exciting time, guys, as we are going to be slowly making our way into this game. Deus Vult, Team Hack, right? Deus Vult coming all the way out from, Russia. And not to mention, this is in Russia. So, they got a little bit of that home turf, whereas Malaysia, they're kind of doing a little bit of traveling to fight this one out. As we are going to be looking at Deus Vult and Team Hack currently getting ready to fight it out in the Phygital Games. Just look at this amazing arena. I mean, if those team spirit motivation didn't rise you guys up from your seats, then this definitely will. As we are the Kazan 2023, this is going to be the 9th Phygital Games on top of that, right? So history is definitely in the making.
Most definitely. And I mean, as history is, in the making here, I just love it. I kind of wish, I was kind of in the crowd with them and, casting there physically, because, sometimes the physical casting brings out the energy a little bit more. But hey, it is what it is. I love the animations that are kind of going on here. And I can't wait to see what either team, strategizes and picks here.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, if we just kind of look at both of these teams so far, right? As we were looking at Deus Vult and Team Hack, Deus Vult, they've been doing okay, right? They took down Max. It was 2-0, knocked them out pretty much. I mean, they kind of took them out of that group stage to help them get the 1-1 that they needed in both of these series. And that's how they kind of pushed through. But when you look at Team Hack, right? They had a little bit of a hard game up against Falcon. It was a 2-0 sweep. But now as we're going to look at this amazing quarterfinals playoff, the versus, the best of 3, you're looking at all these positions. Sawo, Magister, Kulit, Sunset Lover, and YouTube Wiser from Deus Vult going up against Team Hack, Lola, Min, Man, Hito, and Nane. An amazing best of 3.
I love it. I actually was thinking the last person's name was like Nani. But hey, it is what it is. These are some great players that we're going to be seeing going up here. And you know, they're gonna duke it out. I seen there was someone with a YouTube name up there, so that might be a guy to look out for, someone that practices on the regular. I can't wait to see what Deus Vult has to bring. Weezy here, you know, caster curse kind of sets in. Who do you have so far?
Oh, I don't know. It's going to be a rough one. I mean, just from overall achievements, you would think on paper that Team Hack would be able to take this. But, I mean, Deus Vult and them are currently tied, so it can go either way. I mean, and plus, you saw that shoulder to shoulder. That may be the magic trick. As we are now jumping into the draft, I mean, look at the players getting ready, formulating a plan. We like to say the draft is half of the battle, right? What you select here can determine the outcome of this entire game. It's a best of 3, so there's not really too much wiggle room for mistakes.
That is true. That is true. And that one thing I gotta say is that probably first ban's coming out if it's not gonna be in the first 3. And Angela, we could probably see that sneaking through the lines as well. Valentina is also up there for the most picks or bans as we see them rolling in quick again. Angela, Faramis, Fredrin, Navaria, Kaja, and Brody. The Brody's the awkward pick out of there. That one ban is kind of leaning off to something that I suspect maybe Deus Vult likes running, or Team Hawk maybe don't want to deal with that in the gold lane. But Deus Vult does pick up the Ling here. Very first pick, an assassin.
Oh, and then gonna be answered back from Man. Gonna pull out the Fanny, and Lola does have this Valentina. Now, we've seen the Kaja banned off, right? That means that's one of the suppression heroes already taken off the board, and you have double assassin. So does Team Hack pick up the Franco, because they are going to have first pick on the second half of this draft, or does it get banned out entirely? I mean, that's probably one of the best counters to both of these assassins so far. When they took out the Brody, right? I like that as well, because he's a good counter over there to the Ling. When the Ling dives in, he can definitely get the pick off, but I think they could have probably profited off the Brody instead by picking that up in the first half of the draft. I would have expected more of Deus Vult to take it out, but it looks like it may be a possible comfort pick that Team Hack was trying to limit from them. So with the Fanny and the Ling on the board, this is going to provide 2 things: high mobility and early game damage. But the question is, who can get to the punch first?
Yeah, and that's a good question, you know. And I was going to point it out that Team Hawk doesn't really have too much potential via sets or, you know, just being able to capture someone, you know. Picking up the Grok stool, you got those wall charges, but that's something that you're going to have to watch out for. Versus that we see for Deus Vult, I mean, the Terizla, the penalty zone is going to be one of the best engagers. And not only that, the Clint's going to be able to capitalize on that, as well as the Ling. So the biggest thing that I'm seeing from Team Hawk is that the walls from Grok might be something that sets up Man on this Fanny. So we'll see kind of how some of these roles switch around. I'm hoping a Fanny doesn't go mid lane here.
Shoot, that would definitely be a sight to see. Now, I will say, we are not really sure. The Grok can still be slotted in the XP lane, and they do have the Valentina, so the Valentina can definitely, I mean, we haven't seen the Roam slotted up yet for Deus Vult, but with that Valentina on board, that provides draft pressure, right? So they're not going to be able to pick some of the tanks that they probably would have went for initially, since that Valentina is slotted, because she'll be able to take any ultimate and use it against them. So not only do they have a wild charge from this Grok, but they also have this Valentina who can pretty much even take the penalty zone if she really wanted to from Qlet over there on this Terizla. But as we're looking at the draft so far, we got to figure out who the roam will be over there for Deus Vult. So, I mean, maybe in this situation, they go for something a little bit more of the support route so that they can't benefit as much. Maybe something like a Mathilda or something that can just keep the team alive but not let the Valentina profit. Or is that a gamble they want to take? I mean, Franco is still on the table. There's still suppression. Team Hack could pick that up and put the Grok in the XP lane, and it would create a huge problem over there for Sawa on the Ling.
Yeah. I think actually, if I'm not mistaken, Franco's, we don't see them too often here in this, at least in this tournament.
Not on this side of the waters.
Well, we'll see if the hooks of plenty come out. But one mage, there's a few mages still open here. I mean, we could possibly go the Yves route. Navaria did get banned, if I'm not mistaken. They do pick up Claude over there. So I'm thinking maybe if Franco does show itself, but a Cadito roam could still be a possibility here. Again, they're probably going to need something more tanky on Deus Vult's side, so we'll see.
Yeah, and you're going to see Sunset Lover go ahead and pick up his mage as well. That Kagura is definitely in effect. Now, I mean, this is going to be interesting, right? The Yin Yang Overturn can definitely burst down anybody that it catches. They do have the damage. I mean, between Wiser and Sunset Lover, and also Sawo, you're looking at a pretty good engagement. I mean, even though Wiser's not as mobile as a marksman, you have Sawo who can make up for it. As long as he can get to that side lane, dive in with that Finch Poise and get a possible kill. And also Sunset Lover, that's some great dive potential. But when you look at Team Hack and you look at the gold lane matchup, right? Min is running this Claude and he's going up against this Clint. Claude is a lot more mobile and sustainable. He can use that BMI, that battle mirror image, to get out of these tricky situations when Sawo does try and go in for him. So that is something that will work to his advantage.
Yeah, definitely. And what I see from these lineups right now is that we're going to have to really watch out for the Fanny here. Because, I mean, they're going to either be targeting Sunset Lover or YT Wiser over there. Because that's the squishiest targets. If they can possibly catch Sawo off guard, we might be able to see a pick there. But, I mean, it could be anybody's game. We still don't know who the EXP is on Team Hawk, so we'll find out.
Could be Esmeralda. I mean, they have the Lolita over there. Magister did pick that up, so that is shields that he provides his team, and that's something that the Esmeralda could profit on. I mean, even up against the Terizla, it wouldn't be too hard of a matchup, right? It definitely has more mobility as well, so I think that'd be an overall safest bet to possibly pick up, but they're going to go ahead and change the narrative, right? They're going to go in for this Hilda, and that is going to finalize the draft for both teams as we are going to be moving into the land of Dawn. Deus Vult versus Team Hack in the quarterfinals for the Phygital Games number 9. Who will be able to claim victorious in this best of 3?
Yeah, and I mean, we're going to have to figure that out, right? Something that's kind of already happening is the Hilda is just showing so much pressure. Something interesting to see here, and they're just there, and they're not punishing them. So that goes to show that Hilda is probably looks like the roam here, and I feel like that's going to be one of the win conditions here for Team Hawk.
Yeah, definitely trying to invade and not allow Ware to get his purple buff, but he was able to get it. So, but something that does happen is it causes a delay, which could work in their advantage. Because we know right now, Nane and Ware are both battling to get a pick off on the side lanes as fast as possible.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what you want to do. Vision, get as much vision as you want and go with it. But fight's kind of rolling out.
Yeah, Hewlett getting out of there possibly, but no, taking a lot of damage. Min rushing in. The Power Wildness may be able to take him down, but look, he's gonna sustain himself. No, he doesn't. Man will shut him down. Last minute will draw first blood. Team Hack securing the kill.
That was a good go. That was a good go. I mean, it was a 3v1, and he tried to make it out of there with low HP, but hey, it happens. Now, I do want to say that it does seem like Team Hawk is a little bit more familiar and versatile and being able to get the vision around the map. First turtle's kind of coming up, but they don't have the retry there just yet. So we'll see if they come in.
Yeah, they are trying to contest, but they don't have their jungler for the retribution. Name will pick it up. Min is going to take down Q-Led, but the Numion Blast for the double stun is going to catch Min and Man inside of that bush. Not going to lead to a kill, though. 2 kills and a turtle left untraded. Team Hack having a great early game.
Yeah, definitely a great early game. I see some viability here by Deus Vult. Maybe into the mid game, they're gonna probably come back. That'd be what they need to aim for here. Wiser kind of getting approached down here in the bottom lane. Now, Team Hawk, they just got to keep up what they're doing right now. Just the roaming, giving a lot of that pressure, getting that vision so the Fanny can constantly make plays is what they want to do here. Valentina, I think, is going to have a hard time. Really going to have to decide on who they take their ult from. Probably the penalty zone, maybe the Tempest of Blades, but we'll see here.
Yeah, I mean, and you're looking at the battle spells, right? And also these new emblems with the new system. Lethal Ignition picked up over there from Nane. He's trying to deal some serious damage, but wait a minute, Nane may be taken down. Is going to use that Tempest of Blades just in time to get out, but Min, for the counterplay, tries to get a pick off on Sunset, but may have been on more than he can chew. Nane's going to take down Wiser off stream, though. You are going to see Nane trying to cable out. He's going to use that flashy emote on his way back to the base for some regen, but back to these battle spells and emblems, right? I mean, Lethal Ignition on Nane, he's trying to burst them down as fast as possible, but when you look at where, he has another plan, right? He's going for this killing spree, trying to basically just regen his health as he gets a kill to kind of sustain himself longer in these engagements.
Yeah, and I mean, just look at the Hilda, constant pressure, EXP pressure, there's pressure everywhere.
Oh. Speaking of pressure, making diamonds, you are going to see Min fall over there. Where is going to secure the first kill for Deus Vult over there to take him down. But now Hito in a tricky situation. We'll use that BMI. You see Sawo in the bush though, right? He's waiting for the right moment to engage. That's something we got to talk about too, right? Sawo has the Bulwark Shield, which can completely block out the Blazing Duet when Hito goes in. So he has to be very careful on when he decides to engage with his team.
Yeah, and I mean, the level difference isn't too much. I do like that Ware is kind of, you know, playing safe, not going in and making dumb plays. As you can see, they're going all in on Min.
Yeah, Min very low, not gonna be able to get out. Ware will pick up that kill. Turtle in play. Nane is gonna secure the second one for Team Hawk. An amazing objective prioritization so far. Kill board is still kind of evening up though. But when it comes to the economy, they're slowly trying to trickle out and have the advantage.
Yeah, we can see that from Deus Vult. They're building a lot of defense early on. Really, the only damage dealers here are going to be the Clint, of course, the Ling, as well as the Kagra, building that clock. So again, like I was saying, I think Deus Vult will possibly come back into the mid game, while Team Hawk is definitely controlling that early game presence. The Hilda in the late game does lose viability, but then they have that Claw to pick up the viability. So we'll see which team can definitely play it out.
And speaking of plays, Demian Blast with the flicker to the left. Not going to get the stun, no, but the response back from Man with the Valentina. IMU. Lola is going to take down Wiser. Tips Blades dropping down. Maybe able to get a pick off on a Hito, but Sunset in a bad situation. Man on the chase. Man's going to find Sawo. Ware's going to respond back by taking out Hito. 1-for-1 trade on the board so far. But wait a minute, the Terrify and the kill. Min is going to find Ware.
Man, I cannot believe Min just took that kill from Man. Just came in there, clobbered the Ling off the wall, stole the shutdown from their mage, and put it on the Roam instead. So some of those micro plays like that can cause problems, but the Hilda's just trying to go as much as possible. And in the mid lane, off cam, Kagra absolutely gets slayed.
Yeah, and speaking of the mid lane, Nane, focusing on the objective, tries to take down that turret, gets it down to about a quarter of HP, but that just makes up for the mobility that the Fanny provides. But then also, speaking of mobility, Ware gets there just in time to be able to deny him claiming that turret. I mean, we both know how important this mid lane turret is, right? As soon as it falls, it opens up your entire map for vulnerabilities to where they can invade your entire jungle, and it makes it very hard to rotate. But now, third turtle in play. Both turtles so far have been claimed from Team Hawk. Will they be able to secure this third one, or are we going to see Deus Vult's rush in there for the counterplay? I mean, they need to get their jungle over there, but no, he's on the lethal Wanderer. He's just going to path and farm. He's not even going to go in for it. He needs to rotate to the bottom side, possibly take a turret. They need a trade.
Yeah, I mean, pushing that bottom turret's it's good, but then again, you got to watch out Fanny as well as quick as Ling there. So again, maybe attempting to try to steal a turtle might be more viable for Deus Vult here. But Team Hawk is just definitely not giving them any breathing room, constantly applying pressure, utilizing the Hilda to the fullest of their ability, trying to take that blue buff there.
Yeah, already going to contest on this buff. There it goes. And a huge penalty zone for the triple knockup. But Numion Blast from Sawo not going to hit the mark with the IMU. Nane is going to find Ware. There goes the Numion Blast from Valentina. Wiser's going to find Min. a shutdown, a double kill, takes down Nane as well. Man is gonna fall though. Blazing Duet in effect. Sunset is gonna be the one to secure that kill. That is gonna be 3 members to 1. Deus Vult overall able to win that engagement. But in terms of the map, you're just seeing these turrets drop at a very fast rate for them. They need to rotate around, find a way to trade these kills into objectives.
Yeah, I mean, they probably should have put a little bit more pressure on that mid turret and maybe even attempt to start to steal the blue buff from the Fanny. But again, they're a little bit behind in gold, not too much, but those are the plays that are going to make a difference in these outcomes. Now, kind of looking at the Clint build, we can already see that he's kind of starting to pop off now. He has the steel plates, also has the blade of Hep there, as well as endless battle. So sustainability, high damage. Ling still building that the Berserker Fury, so we might see him popping off here soon as well. Looking at Team Hawk, they're almost on equal footing. The Fanny and the Claw definitely holding the gold lead though.
Yeah, holding the gold lead so far. Pressure for Team Hawk, having the advantage for the early games. We're now making it to the 10-minute mark. We need to see Deus Vult find a way to kind of turn this around. They haven't really claimed any neutral objectives so far or taken a single turret. They've just been clashing it out, but Min has just been providing so much pressure with this Hilda onto that purple buff. And speaking of pressure, here comes the next objective. Penalty zone dropping down. Sunset is going to claim the Lord and get a kill. Takes down Fane. Man is going to secure one as well. Finds Sunset. Numion Blast for the stun. And now eyes on the prize. Where is going to find Man? 2 members falling for Team Hawk, and they weren't able to claim that Lord. It was stolen by Sunset Lover.
Not even by a retry, and they're still going here. They want to push this mid tower, and again, I mean, this is the breathing room Deus Vult needed here. So stealing that Lord is going to even the playing field, and it might even allow them to start snowballing now.
Yeah, they're going to go ahead and claim that turret for the mid lane, and also on the bottom side as well, as Where did path over there with this Finch Poise to be able to clear that turret. And now the engagement on the purple buff. Numion Blast drops down. Sunset is going to find Min. Tips Blades dropping as well. Sunset finds another, takes down Nane for a double kill. Wiser's going to take down Lola. Team Hack dropping like flies as we are at the 11-minute mark. You're seeing a lot of these objectives that they worked so hard for in the early game now not working in their favor. A quick turnaround, a light switch turning on for Deus Vult.
This is quick. Deus Vult are looking to end this game at this point. They're putting pressure on every single tower. The Numion Blast hits all of them.
That's right, a quadruple set. Wiser's gonna find the inhibitor though. Penalty zone for a triple set as well. Where's gonna drop down a Numion Blast of his own. Not gonna hit the mark though. But look at Man wrapping around. Man is gonna get a kill. Nane is gonna take down Wiser. 3 members falling for Deus Vult. Everybody's still alive for Team Hawk. Do they push through the mid lane? Looks like they are gonna go in for it. A slight mistake for Deus Vult, now needing to play back on the defense.
Definitely. Now they're on the defense. They overstayed their welcome just by a bit, and they were not able to dodge the Numion Blast that was stolen by Man. Such a great defense by Team Hawk to turn the table towards their favor here. Now they have vision and control over the map. The Land of Dawn is theirs at this point. Even though they got their base cracked in severely, they're attempting to turn this around, and I like the tenacity.
Yeah, right now you're looking at them kind of patching up their wounds right there. Gonna go ahead and do some wave management, right? Didn't lose too many turrets, even though they lost a lot of members from that overextension. And that's just what you call great defense. They're able to find the resolve because it was not looking like it was going to work in their favor. It looked like Team Hawk had this one in the bag. It was going to be a one-sided story. But now we're playing a game of ping pong. You never know which way it's going to go or who's going to claim victorious. And this is the kind of battles we like to see, right? I mean, look at them getting very comfortable. Here comes the conceal play in onto Min. Maybe able to try and take him down. It's going to drop that penalty zone as well. But Man, Tips Blades tries to get away, but is going to be knocked up as well. Where is going to find the kill, take him down. But look at Nane trying to path through with the steel cables. Use a lot of energy. Use the retribution. Is going to find Where. Numion Blast for the double stun though on him in. On to both teams. You're going to see Lola fall in that process as well. That is a 2-for-2 trade as the Lord has spawned in.
It's an interesting trade here, you know, like now Where's going to be behind. He has his blue buff stolen, and now they don't have vision as well with Wiser gone. I mean, we're going to have to see how it turns around. This next Lord is definitely going to make it or break it. Team Hawk definitely don't want to get it stolen from Sunset again. But Ling is online, 11.5k gold. He is a farming monster at this point. I just need to see him engage on some neutral objectives, and Deus Vult might be able to continue the spree that they're on here, but no one's really setting up for the Lord besides Team Hawk here.
Oh, but wait a minute.
Ooh, the reset.
Position now does get reset at the last minute. Both teams fighting over this neutral objective. Realizes how important this is. I mean, this may be a game ender, Lord, if they can pull it off right. I mean, when you're looking at Team Hawk, they only have one inhibitor turret left. But on the side of Deus Vult, they have a little bit of insurance, right? They still have their tier 2 turrets, but going in for the fight, may be able to get some pickoffs. But no, a concealed play on the way over there was called out from Team Hawk, but it may not lead to a kill. They're too far to be able to close the gap. And look at the separation. Look at Nane in the top side, already focusing on these lanes for the wave management. Is going to go ahead and possibly get that tier 2 turret.
Yeah, it's for the Fanny's forcing the team to split. And this is where we see teams fall behind here. Ling, Ware was able to actually secure his blue buff this time around. And it looks like, I think Fanny has theirs as well. So this Lord is going to be something else. I mean, Team Hawk has every utilization that they possibly can for this fight. And so does Deus Vult now.
That's right, and the Lord's still in play. 15 minutes in, both teams playing very patient. I gotta admire their micro and macro. You're gonna see that Divine Glaive picked up from Man, though. It's gonna deal a lot more damage with that item. Some high penetration on the way, but speaking of damage, the 1v1 matchup between both assassins. Tempest of Blades is gonna dodge the steel cables, but in the mid lane, possible bush play on the way from Deus Vult. Lola is going to check that bush, is going to be hit with the stun, but do they commit for the kill? Looks like they don't. They don't want to waste their utility. They're waiting to possibly find a backline.
Yeah, they really, really want something here. They're trying their best to just take it. Penalty zone coming out.
And this is where Team Hawk needs to punish, right? All that utility was wasted, and now you're going to see the Blazing Duet from Hito. Going to deal some damage on Q-Late. He is going to be able to get out just in time, though, but Sawa may not be the same story. But the stun onto Hito. Hito will pick up the kill. They'll find Sunset. Ware is going to find Hito to respond. Nane is going to find Wiser. Tips of Blades drops down. Lord still in effect, but now Ware needs to get out of there. Does not have the Finch poise. Min is going to try and punish. Nane is going to find Sawo. But wait a minute. It's still 3-2 on the board. Both junglers are intact, so this may not be the easiest Lord to pull off. I mean, you still have Ware, who can get some regen after he gets that purple buff and then rotate back in with the Tempest of Blades for a possible contest.
Yeah, I mean, the Tempest of Blades definitely going to have to come up for that to happen, but put on a lot of pressure on the Nani there. So, again, Fanny really low HP, still baiting the Lord here. 2v4. Can Deus Vult take this Lord? On blast.
Ooh, man, with the new on blast from the bush for the stun. Proxy immortality on Ware. Man is going to secure the kill. Mission accomplished. You found the jungler, which means they have retribution on their side. Wiser is going to find Min. Sunset is going to find Lola. Nane is going to claim the Lord for Team Hawk. They're able to get subject, but look at the Min is already making their way into the base. They need to go back and kind of patch up these lanes.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what happens when they double push the top lane with the Ling there. So, great play. Something to point out that Ware picked up was the Blood Rose there, which is interesting to see by a Ling. So we're going to see Clint Wiser here definitely picking up the Blade of Despair. Is going to be dealing a lot of damage. We don't see a Wind of Nature picked up by him yet, where Hito has Wind of Nature, so that could be a make it or break it, as well as we do see an Immortality for Charizla and Sawo here. So Immortalities are starting to build up here at the 18 minute mark. The Lord is kind of coming in, but they're trying their best to mitigate this Lord loss.
Yeah, they are trying to mitigate the damages as Lord is going to make his way toward this inhibitor. Nane is going to find a turret on the bottom side. May be able to get an inhibitor as well. The base is not going to be cracked open. Looks like they are able to defend them off. This is what they needed, right? A way to turn this back around in their favor. A power struggle between Deus Vult and Team Hack so far, and who's controlling this game. But you are going to see the tier 2 turret fall for the mid lane.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens when you have to deal with these super minions. As long as you don't let them crack open your base, I still think Deus Vult is at a little bit of an advantage, but they're struggling at securing neutral objectives, and then that is something they need to turn around here. Teamwork is going to make the dream work, as we see maybe they try to make another play onto Hilda.
Yeah, looks like they are going to go in. Weiser is going to secure that kill. Find Min out of position, right? This is where you start. You got to group up as a team when it comes to this 19-minute mark. I mean, the respawn timers are way too high. It's already over 50 seconds if you fall to get back in the game. And this is where Deus Vult realizes, okay, if we group up, if you can find the pickoff, we have the numbers to possibly close this out. So Team Hawk, they need to have a similar strategy. They don't want to rotate around solo, or it may cost them the game.
No, exactly. They really need to hunt down Hito, and Hito really needs to stay hidden to avoid this. I love the split pressure by Nani there. I do feel like that Ware needs to kind of pull that out of his pocket as well in order to take engage. But if Deus Vult can take a pick here before the Lord comes up, we might see that them be at an advantage. But the Fanny is just constantly making them split apart.
Yeah, but on the top side, we're seeing a mirror image effect for these minions. So I say wave management definitely going both ways. Nane trying to find a backdoor play may be on the way. You got to have Deus Vult a little bit tighter on watching where that Fanny is, right? I mean, we've seen backdoor plays, especially when it comes to teams of this caliber, happen. So anything is possible. The next Lord is in effect 20 minutes in. This is only game 1 in the best of 3 quarterfinals for the Phygital Games number 9, Deus Vult and Team Hack. Best of 3, game 1. I mean, this is important, right? If you can take this match, you have the advantage for a possible sweep when you jump into game 2. So with both these teams realizing all this pressure on the line, they're definitely taking it slow. They're waiting for the other side to make the first mistake.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, you can definitely see the Lord bait. They know that Team Hawk really has a little bit of the advantage here, just because they did have to send Ware back low HP. What we really have to watch out for is Man and Nani are definitely the playmakers here on Team Hawk. So I want to see, you just got to keep the eye on them and see how it plays out. Again, this is just the good old wait and bait and tassel for Lord control here. Deus Vult really wants to keep control of the mid side of the river, versus Team Hawk is trying to keep the right side. Again, both teams attempting to outlane each other, but I don't know if that's going to be what it takes here. One team has to really finally make the call and the move to go in on something. But again, really all they can go on to is Man or Hito here, but Hito is constantly staying way out of range, and they just don't have the mobility and the vision to get eyes on them, but they might now.
Yeah, you are going to see a possible clash on the way. Pitiful Zone drops down onto Min. Tips of Blaze is not going to catch Man. He's going to flicker out just in time. Numion Blast from the IMU from Man for the stun. Is going to find Qlet, but wait a minute. Battle's still on the way. Nobody has fallen in this amazing engagement, but that may change in the blink of an eye. Weiser trying to chase down Nane over there. Sawo very low. Everybody being very careful. Lola is going to find where, though. It's going to find the jungler for Deus Vult, which means they have objective prioritization in their favor, right? They have the retribution as Nane is still intact. As long as he can go back to the base, get his HP back, they may be able to take this. But looks like Deus Vult is going to go and try and get the clash, try and get a pick off. Min is going to find Weiser. You are going to see Man fall, though, to Sunset Lover. But the aggro of this Lord looking like it's going to be in favor for Team Hack. I mean, they lost 2 members, their marksman and their jungler for Deus Vult. They can't contest this.
Hito had to sell a couple items, or an item over there to be able to pick up the Hall's Claw, so they have that sustainability to approach this Lord here. Again, Sunset Lever doesn't have They're getting overturned, but the penalty zone.
Drops down, but not going to stop Nane with the retribution. Is going to claim this Lord for Team Hawk. They got what they came for. Hito is going to find Sunset Lover. Hewlett may fall as well. Tries to get away, but Min definitely has the mobility and the damage to possibly seal the deal. But no, he's going to go back to the base instead. He's going to let him go.
I mean, you got to. I mean, you got to give vision here. Min definitely wants to put pressure on and steals the blue from where? What a play. This is what the Hilda's been constantly trying to achieve throughout the whole match, and they were able to do it during a Lord push into Deus Vult here. Again, this is going to have to be one of the greatest defense of their game here. Again, Sunset down. So, I mean, it's going to come down to a couple things here. We only got one immortality onto Deus Vult here by Sayo here. So I want to see, it's going to make it or break it here. Do they sell some items to achieve more immortalities? Who's going to win on this Lord push?
That's right, and Sunset is going to spawn back in time, so this is going to be a 5v5 engagement, but the Lord in favor for Team Hawk, making his way into the base. Down goes the inhibitor for the mid lane. Lola very low, needs to go back, get some HP, which may create the opportunity for Deus Vult to clear this Lord, and they are going to go in for it. Some great defense. Yes, they lost an inhibitor, but they are still in this game.
They're still in the game, but they got to understand that they can't overextend too much. You got to really control these super minions that are coming in behind, because if you don't, one mistake could definitely allow a push into the base here. And again, the minions are just constantly raining. Team Hawk is doing really well at securing and controlling their main damage dealers, Hito and Nani. Nani's just being able to get out. Penalty zone coming in once again.
For the double set, Nane is going to go back, try and get that purple buff. Not going to be able to get it, though. But the retribution was burnt out from where he still has time for this Lord to spawn in. So that is definitely okay. But right now, you're looking at them just kind of playing passive. I mean, this is anybody's game. 25 minutes in, the respawn timers are so high. If you fall in these engagements, you can pretty much consider yourself out of the game, as this next 5v5 clash is going to determine everything. 30 seconds until this Lord spawns in. Are we going to see Team Hawk be able to close this out with the power of Min and Man, that amazing tank mage synergy? Or are we going to see Deus Vult, who had a little bit of a struggle in the early game, but a light switch turned on and they were able to keep their composure, and here we are, an even matchup.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I could possibly see here is that maybe a split push, if they could outmaneuver and, you know, control Team Hawk to get maybe a back door. But that'd be about the only thing that we can constantly see from here. Sunset Lover definitely making some crucial plays. But again, I don't think Ware needs to engage on a lot of these scenarios, when I see Ware do that a lot. So those are some of those little plays that we need to see more of Salo go in versus Ware. So again, Team Hawk, they're still doing good. I mean, they're securing so many objectives. They're not even utilizing retries or fighting the other team to get them, other than Sunset Lover was able to secure one at one point. Again, they are split pushing hard, so maybe we'll see something here. You know, Deus Vult wants to get vision and keep eyes on this Lord. Lord resets again. I think this is like the third time or fourth time we've seen a Lord bait reset, and again, they're gonna go back to the laning phase here to fight over who can out lane each other.
I mean, this is looking like it could possibly lead up to a 30-minute game, right? I mean, looking at the way this match has been going so far, neither side going to focus on this Lord, but try and get a pick off. I mean, because the Lord is just so stacked up, but here goes the pick off they were looking for. Maybe on the way, Tips of Blades was drawn out by Ware as a defense mechanism. Will be able to escape, but not the same for Nane. Takes some massive damage to burn. Not going to seal his fate, though. Able to regen just in time and go back to the base before falling, but Numion Blast from Man, not going to hit the mark as well with that IMU, but they still have the pressure. I mean, you're looking at Deus Vult grouping up, playing together, waiting for the right opportunity to seize the moment, but looking at the Lord taking some damage. Hito quickly trying to burst it down, trying to force them into the Lord pit to engage. But I mean, we keep looking at Nane split pushing, right? The split push of the Fanny is definitely providing pressure for Deus Vult. They're trying to get them offset. They don't want them grouped up together, especially with Qlet, with this penalty zone that's been dropping down and opening up these fights for Deus Vult so far. So you are looking at a 28-minute game, but it's anybody's matchup, right? I mean, even Ware can split push, and I think that's what's given Nane a little bit of a harder time. Every single time he goes down to that lane, you see Ware kind of follow him to patch it up.
No, exactly. And I mean, it's going to be a make it or break it on who can, you know, do that. And again, like I said, I do think Deus Vult needs to make a play that's a little crazy in order to get something out of it. They have to get eyes on Hito. If they can take out Hito, their team fights are going to more likely go their route, but they just can't seem to get into that back line while Ware and Sao are kind of setting things up. I see what they're attempting to do. They want to bait out Nani here to get that Fanny in a position that they can take advantage of and maybe secure a Lord with no problem.
Oh, wait a minute. Ware is going to get taken down by the Wild Charge. The power of nature. Immortality was proc, but he is still alive to get out of there. He was trying to clear those minions, create the split push capability to possibly take this objective, and was severely punished.
I love how both teams just know how to bait certain things out of each other. Man not having the flicker right now is gonna probably be one of the things that they'll have to watch out for. If Man gets caught, I feel like that could be a problem, but Immortality is already bought. So again, it's gonna just be a battle over who can hit what at what moment. Ling's Immortality getting popped also gonna be a problem for Deus Vult here, as we see Nani still have their Immortality. So again, the split pushings are just happening. I mean, Team Hawk might actually be able to get a backdoor at some point if they can keep Deus Vult actually occupied.
Yeah, but speaking of backdoors, you are looking at Lola on the bottom side trying to continue pushing up that lane, but Ware is gonna kind of match them and clear out these minions. But look at the damage from Sunset already showing these late game items in effect, and may have costed him his life. He is far behind enemy territories, but he is just a distraction. Outlet is gonna go in. Numeon Blast is gonna drop down. You're gonna see Hito find Qlet is gonna secure that kill. Takes down the Teresa, but wait a minute. Lola very low. Blazing Duet from Hito into the back line, but stun. Tips Blaze dropping down to secure the kill. Find the back line. Can he do it?
Wind of
but
nature.
Ware very low. Wiser is gonna find Man. Sunset takes down Hito. That is gonna be a 1-for-2 trade.
Oh my god, look at that. 70 seconds is the death timers for Man and Hito. Some of the highest damage dealers on their team other than the Fanny. So again, this is gonna make it or break it here. Immortalities, there's 4 Immortalities bought by Team Hawk. Definitely something to keep an eye on. 1 sold already by Grok to get a C Halbert for some anti-sustainability, maybe a little bit more damage to clear up these lanes. Looks like he's trying to outlane while he can. Again, Deus Vult, they need to take this opportunity. There's 2 people down on Team Hawk. Take the Lord while you can.
Yeah, it looks like they are going to go in for this objective. Team Hawk not in a position to contest, but they can possibly get a split push if they can keep them distracted, and I think that may be the plan. But wait a minute, you are looking at them still trying to go in for the kill. Finds Min. Do they know Fanny's down there though? Sunset is going to find Min. Ware is going to claim this Lord for Deus Vult, and this may be what they needed. A possible way to close out this game.
It is, and I mean, with Min on a 70-second cooldown as well, if the Lord can get here in time and they can get another pick, again, that could set them up to win at this point. A Winter just got picked up by Ware as well. So, again, sustainability, Man also picked up one as well. Team Hawk's gonna have to build up the best defense they've ever had here. Hito, if he gets caught off, I mean, that could be a problem.
It could definitely be a problem, as we are going to see that Guardian's barrier drop down to hold off this Lord, trying to stop the inevitable. But Deus Vult looking strong. 5v4, trying to close it out with this Lord. Numion Blast drops down. Blazing Duet as well. Where is going to find Lola? But look at the base crystal quickly taken down. Deus Vult takes game 1 against Team Hawk.
Hey, I'm telling you, you know when you come in, when you're holding everybody's shoulders, you're not carrying the team. The team's carrying you. So again, a great game by both sides. A long game at that. Again, it was definitely a wonderful fight. Came down to who outlaned each other and who got offset there. Wheezy.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, looking at the MVPs from both sides, Deus Vult, you see Weiser picking that up, 6-6 and 13, and then Nane on the opposite side, 7-3 and 4. But I really think it was a very even matchup. I mean, that was over a 32-minute game. I mean, that's a lot of pressure, right? That just shows you that both of these teams can play at the higher caliber and don't make too many mistakes, which can draw these games out very long. It's a battle of chess. I mean, look at the team fight participation, though. Definitely in favor for Deus Vult, as they were stacked together. Like we said, when they walked on the stage, they're holding each other's shoulders, and that's the same thing they were doing in game, right? They were close together, focusing on the solo pickoffs as a group, and that was able to help them take game 1.
Yeah, and I seen that throughout the whole game. Like they were constantly staying together as a team. They knew they had to support each other to be able to take this game on. Though they did not secure a lot of the major objectives into the early game, they knew if they drew it out to the late game that it was going to be a hard time. That Hilda is something, like, it's not really useful once you start to step into that late game. And kind of the Fanny kind of falls off as well, not able to dive in and get a lot of the burst kills. So that all was the stepping stones for Deus Vult to be able to, win that series there.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the biggest things that I seen in that game was Sunset Lover, right? We seen them kind of struggling in the beginning, but Sunset Lover out of nowhere hits that yin yang overturn and takes that Lord. No retribution needed, and that was where we started seeing Deus Vult get online.
And then shout out, the MVP of this game goes to YouTube Weiser. Again, 6-6 and 13, 31% of his team damage. No one really could get back there and capitalize on him. Definitely the MVP for Deus Vult.
That's right. I mean, the battle of the backlines. I mean, even though we were looking at both marksman matchups, you did see Hito. He had a lot more gold in the beginning of this game than he did, right? He definitely outfarmed him, but I think the positioning is where it kind of came into play for Weiser toward the late game. He was able to stay alive. We've seen Hito fall very early in the late game on these clashes, and I think that's how they were able to close it out. I mean, at one moment, we saw, a 70-second respawn timer, and that was Hito who had fell in that engagement, right? That is your ADC, your marksman, who's supposed to kind of carry you through these hard-fought battles, especially that late in the game. So right now, this is best of 3, right? Quarterfinals, the playoffs over here for the Phygital Games number 9, and we just seen the first victory go into the hands of Deus Vult. Now the question is, who will be able to take game 2, right? I mean, this is a great position for Deus Vult. This is a possibility for them to get the sweep. They have match point right now. If they claim this victory up against, Team Hawk, they will move on to the semifinals.
Yeah, and the face Falcon. So, that is the upcoming thing that we'll have to look out for, And I got to give it up to both teams. Again, they showed out. At one point, we thought Team Hawk was going to, make it. But again, they built a lot for that early game pressure, that mid game pressure. They wanted to end it early. Deus Vult knew that. So they just, waited and baited it, and they fell right into their hands. Again, Akagra also kind of throwing me off. This was the second time it was picked in this tournament. So it seems like a viable pick if it in the right hands. Stealing a Lord, the damage by Sunset was insane. Again, Weiser though kind of showed out as well in the Clint. Both teams gave it their all, but I mean, we got to give it to Deus Vult. And again, kind of coming into this next game, I don't know. We might see roamers or assassins that can do that split put potential like we just seen, but I don't know if that'd be what they'll want to run for a second time. But we'll have to see.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to see. I mean, Team Hawk, they need this victory, right? They need to find a way to even out the scoreboard. There's a lot more pressure on them now than it was in game one. I feel like game one's always that freebie, but if you're able to secure it, you just have so much pressure when it comes to a best of three. Very little room for error right now for Team Hawk. They need to find a way to kind of disrupt Deus Vult. And to be honest with you, when we were looking at game one, they had the early game, right? They just kind of fumbled in the mid and the late. And it was like as soon as Sunset Lover got that Lord, they just lost their composure. They were rotating a little bit too often solo, and they weren't able to get the neutral objectives no more. And that's where, you know, Deus Vult was able to get online. So I think for Team Hawk, if they want to be able to claim this next match, they need to just do what they did in the early game, right? And maintain that momentum. Keep their pressure on and don't give Deus Vult the room to breathe. I mean, we were seeing a power struggle for the mid game, but the early game was a one-sided story.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I want to see if they can, you know, come up with a little bit of a different strategy. Both teams kind of took about the same strategy in that last series, but again, Deus Vult came out on top. I want to see maybe some more assassins. Maybe we'll see the Angela come through. Claude has been picked a lot in this tournament, so seeing the Claude, you know, fall through the cracks and not be winning at this time around, it's quite interesting. And I don't know, maybe Deus Vult will pull out the Claude this time. We'll definitely have to find out.
Yeah, I mean, it was when we're looking at, I guess, Team Hack, they're more like a offensive team, right? Whereas we see Deus Vult, they're kind of more defensive, right? They like to group up together and rotate more as a pack, that pack mentality. But when you see Team Hawk, they kind of like to rotate around and each go for their own solo objectives at certain points in the game. And I think that's where they kind of shine, Team Hack, for the early game. And I think that's why Deus Vult kind of struggles a little bit, right? Because they're used to, okay, we struggle a little bit in the early game, but once we don't have these first turrets available to us anymore, we can kind of group up together a little bit more often, and this is where we start becoming a powerhouse. So as we are going to be jumping into this next match, maybe finding a way to win in the early phase for Deus Vult, it can lead the way to a victory, right? If they can disrupt Team Hawk's early aggressive tempo, they could possibly take this game. So I think that should definitely be the game plan on them, but they got to watch out for that Hilda, man. I mean, if they pick that assassin again, they got to watch out for Team Hack. That Hilda was definitely providing a lot of pressure, so that is definitely going to be something I'm to see what these teams will bring to the table and compare it to our top teams in North America. So I will see something that we don't often see is the Angela band. So I mean, I'm hoping that walks and we can see why, and we don't also see the Kagra too often anymore. So we typically see what the Navaria kind of walking through and things of that nature. But it's just amazing to see different metas from prospective regions.
Exactly. Now, kind of, you know, building up the tense of this next match, Team Hawk, really, last match didn't have too many sets. You know, like they had the Grok, but the only time I seen the wall charge come into play was when they were able to capitalize and capture Where. But that was like one or two in a while, you know, like, and then the Hilda being the roam just kind of left it open that they, of course, have vision, but what could they do with the vision, you know? They need more reliability when it comes to face Deus Vult. Again, we've seen in the first series that they love playing together. So if I was in the shoes of Team Hawk, I would be going for maybe a hero that is more, you know, the Lilia, or not the Lilia, the Lolita that Deus Vult picked, you know? Like, that would be a good play. Even, we don't see it played too often, but even an Atlas kind of would have came through here. There could have been a couple tanks that I feel like would have showed out a little bit more than a Hilda. I see where they tried to make the plays. They almost could make them, but Deus Vult was definitely able to turn the tides.
Yeah, I mean, and also credit to the power of Min and Man over there with the tank mage synergy from Team Hawk. I mean, we've seen that's been something, you know, known for a while now for Team Hawk out of Malaysia. I mean, we've seen them compete in multiple different international events, and it's always the power of Min and Man, right? That tank mage synergy is very hard to match up with, and that's what we've seen even in the early game for this match. So maybe finding a way to disrupt. I mean, Min was on that Valentina just dominating over there, just steady taking that Numion Blast and using them against them. And honestly, he had better positioning than the Rome did when it came to those Numion Blasts from Deus Vult. So maybe not giving him something he's so comfortable on, it can be a possible plan to delay that early game pressure that Team Hawk will be looking for. So, you know, I think having this first victory was great for them. I just hope they can maintain that rhythm. And speaking of rhythm, we are going to be jumping into game 2 of the quarterfinals, the playoffs for the Phygital Games 9. First best of 3 on the way. Team Hawk versus Deus Vult. Deus Vult's able to take game 1.
Game 1 was something else. I want to see where they're going to come from this time around. Already getting rid of the Kaja, the Angela. From the side of Team Hawk, they do have first pick. So they're going to be prioritizing something that they really want to grab here. As we can already see that they're building up their momentum here to pull a play. They might be down a game, and that could be something that's impacting their morale at this point versus Deus Vult taking a win, you know. And if I'm not mistaken, the crowd prediction was to go to Team Hawk. So again, that kind of gives them a morale boost at this point. And they get 2 picks instead of 1 for a first pick. So again, if they can utilize that to their advantage, I think that's what we're going to be keeping an eye out for.
And speaking of keeping an eye out, there goes that Brody signature ban that we've seen in game 1 as well. So it looks like they are limiting a comfort pick over there from Deus Vult. And then responded back, down goes a Faramis double support ban for Deus Vult. And this is the same story that we've seen in game 1, but the only difference is Team Hawk is going to go ahead and take out this Terizla, trying to limit the hero pool over there from Deus Vult, as we've seen the Terizla as a very crucial factor when it came to these fights, right? Dropping in with that penalty zone, able to provide that pressure, but with him taken off the board, he has to go for something else that can still meet those same requirements.
Yeah, and I mean, Uranus is still open, so there's plenty of viable EXP laners that could be picked. Joy is still open as well. We don't see her shine as much as Merelda, still a good pick. We actually see that being played quite a bit on our side of the region, but Deus Vult goes to ban the Ling out. So this could be something good for Team Hawk. Do they first pick a Fanny? I mean, we've seen that their Fanny was good. I mean, they played the Fanny really well, but the Ling kind of kept up with the Fanny. With that being off the board, kind of what is Deus Vult building up here? They're kind of setting their self up.
Yeah, but they got to watch out if Team Hawk, because if they pick this assassin early, you're going to open up the door for this Hilda to be slotted up yet again. I mean, it wasn't banned out, and the Hilda provided a lot of pressure. I mean, we saw at one point was able to take that purple buff away. So that may be something that can work in their favor. But as we are looking at the ban so far in the picks, first pick has been drawn from Team Hawk. They're going to go ahead and pick up this Fredrin, right? Typically when we see the Fredrin, he can be flexed. Usually ran in the jungle, but can also be subbed into the XP lane if needed. And I'm liking where this draft is heading, right? That's more of that 3-dimensional style. You got to keep the enemy side, this case for them being Deus Vult, on their toes, not knowing exactly which way the draft will go.
Yeah, and I mean, there's plenty of good first and second picks that you can get here. I mean, the Yve is still open, the Varia is still open, Joy, Uranus. Yves, and they opt to go Yves, and then they go back with the Clint. I mean, the Clint worked last game. If it's not broken, don't fix it. Wiser running that strat right now, but they didn't ban a Valentina, which we did see that Team Hawk's Valentina was a pretty good mage. So again, something that equals out a Yves. So I want to see maybe Team Hawk, they're probably going to pick up a Valentina at this point. No, they actually opt to go the Fanny, which I suspected. Now that the Ling's ban, the Kadita kind of throws me off, but they could still throw that roam.
Well, I will say I kind of like the Kadita pick here because, I mean, when you have Sunset Lover who drops down this reward manipulation, he does have the rough waves to be able to sustain himself, get out of that entire 5x5 zonage, or he can go in for the pickoff, put Nane on a trampoline and send him to the moon. It definitely could be a possible game plan on the way. So, and not to mention, I mean, you can still slot this Kadita in the roam position if you really wanted to. So, I mean, just keep them on their toes, still not knowing which way this is going to go. I mean, you can have Fredrin in the XP, you can have this Kadita in the roam position, or you can have the Kadita in the mid lane, and you can have Fredrin in the jungle. But no, we do see this Fanny, so that's not going to happen. The Fanny will be the jungler, so this means this is going to be a Fredrin in the XP lane, and they're going to go ahead and run this Fanny in that jungle position. So, I mean, I'm looking at their draft, at least for Team Hawk. They have some great CC, right? You have the Energy Eruption over there by the Fredrin, and then you also have the Rough Waves and the Breath of the Ocean, Ocean's Oddity for Nane. But Nane is going to have some really precise positioning to be able to pull this off.
Yeah, and I mean, from either side right now, a Kufra would actually be good in Deus Vult's hands here with how many dashy characters that we do see on Team Hawk. So roams are still high availabilities here. I still think a Valentina might get picked up, but again, that's only if the Kadita goes roam. But I do like it. One problem that Team Hawk did have is that they just didn't have an answer to Wiser, and I do think a Kadita can definitely be the answer for both Sunset and Wiser, like you said, Weezy. So they need some solid defense that's going to stop Nani at this point, or the Kadita from being able to reach the back lane.
And I think they're going to pick up the Claude over there for Team Hawk, right? I mean, Claude, he's not banned out so far. That Kufra did get banned out, though. Definitely would have been an excellent pickup for either side, to be honest. But with that Kufra being taken off the board, it will limit some of these roamer capabilities. But the Claude is such a strong option for Team Hawk right now. And I was kind of scratching my head on why is he picking up this Clint so early, right? I mean, you had multiple different ways you could have went about this. I mean, you could have took the Fredrin away. You could have took the Kadita. You could have took anything and slotted that Clint later, and you could have even picked it as a third pick and been okay. So as we are going to see the draft still on the way, the ban's being finalized, they're going to go ahead and take out that glue alongside the R-Lot for Team Hawk. But do we see the Claude being picked up?
Yeah, I definitely, I'm vibing with what you're throwing down there, Weezy. I feel like the Claude is definitely going to see its play here. It just kind of works out well with their draft pick right now, you know. The other thing is just the roam. I mean, both teams, Fredrin could be roam, Kadita could be roam. You got an idea that anything could be a possibility for Team Hawk here. But I do like that they picked up the Lolita. Interesting enough, I think they're anticipating that they're going to pick up the Claude once again. And I mean, Deus Vult, they said they faced it last time. Why can't they face it again?
I mean, we're looking at history repeating right now, right? A lot of these picks were similar to game one. I mean, you saw the Fanny, right? We saw the Eve. No, we didn't have the Eve. We saw the Fanny, we saw the Lolita, and we saw the Clint. So these are all three things that we saw. But I will say one thing about Wiser, though. I mean, at least from game one, I wasn't really too impressed, right? He didn't outfarm Hito. Hito had the advantage. He was up by like 4,000 gold at one point in the game against Wiser. So I think this is more of a comfort pick that he's been slotting in. And maybe as we jump in, if they do take it to a game 3, maybe Team Hawk bans out the Clint. Try and get Weiser uncomfortable, right? Because I mean, this is the second time that we've seen him slot it in. He first picked it, so it just shows you how important this Clint is to their team composition. It could be a possible make or break. But speaking of making or breaking, the draft has been finalized from both teams, Team Hawk and Deus Vult. Game number 2 of the quarterfinals in this amazing best of 3. Right now, this is match point. Deus Vult, if they claim victory in this game, will take down Team Hawk 2-0 with the sweep.
Yeah, and kind of building off of these drafts that they are going, Weezy, men picked up the Atlas. I feel like it's a good go when they're facing Deus Vult here. We seen last time that they just stuck together. Now we got to see if they can, you know, split apart, come back together to avoid men, or how many purifies do we see picked up? Because not only are they going to have to deal with the Atlas, they're going to have to deal with the Kadita. The Kadita probably going to petrify. So last time we see Team Hawk not have a lot of CCs. We see they have them now.
Yeah, and speaking of having things now, some early engagement already on the way. 28 seconds in the cut behind the lane for the proxy, Hewlett and Sawo. But look at the prediction right there, right? 10% prediction for Team Hawk winning this. 90% going to Deus Vult, but first blood has been drawn. Deus Vult is going to be able to pick that up, and it was secured into the hands of Sawo.
Wow, interesting. You know, giving the first blood to your tank, questionable. You know, not something I'd like to see, but it was only for another tank, so it's not super crazy. But man, being constantly pressured here. I do like how Sawo is just constantly with Sunset Lover here at this point. I do think it's gonna come down to that Team Hawk, just their sets. You know, they're gonna have to keep an eye on it. If Min and Hito can work together, communicate well, we can probably see some insane sets and viabilities here. But Clint's being pushed hard in that top lane.
Yeah, are going in for the kill. May be able to draw it. Yes, Hito is going to secure that last hit provided from Nane, dealing some massive damage early on this Fanny. You know, something interesting to see, though, is they picked the Beatrix. Hito slotted Beatrix in to Weiser running a Clint. And on paper, I mean, and through the times of the Land of Dawn, Clint wins in that matchup, right? He has a little bit more range and he can provide that pressure in the 1v1, but that's why we saw him fall. He got too comfortable, made his way into the mid lane, gave Nane the room he needed to be able to deal enough damage for Hito to close him out. And now with this turtle spawned in, let's just talk about game 1, right? We've seen all the neutral objectives go into the hands of Team Hawk. Deus Vult wasn't able to claim a single turtle. They were only able to claim the Lords at near the end of the game, so looks like they will go in for some possible contests on this neutral objective. They need to lead the way in the early game, as we've seen Hawk kind of have more of a aggressive tempo in this phase, and it works usually in their favor. But Sunset, just on manipulation, Thorn Rails goes in. Where is going to claim this turtle, and that is going to be the first neutral objective going to Deus Vult.
Yeah, and one thing I do have to point out that could be a little bit of a downfall for Deus Vult is that Clint has Purify. So getting away from a Fanny and getting away from a Beatrix that have Flicker, they're going to have a hard time. So is definitely going to have presence and viability around Weiser for them to scale. Because if not, he's just going to constantly be on the back foot, as we can see in the top lane. Deus Vult know that they have to respond to how much pressure is being put on Weiser. The ult is already there for Atlas. Does he pull it?
Yeah, is going to use the Fatal Links for the set and knocked Airborne. The Petrify Hito is going to find Sawo. Man down for the Deus Knights. Now, this is still a 4-5, 2-1 on the scoreboard, though. Team Hawk still having the advantage in terms of kills, but down in the economy. Oh no, they're up in the economy as well, so they're still able to find a way to still have the slightest advantage for the early game.
Now, this is what happens when your gold lane's 2-0. Kind of looking at some of the items, a lot of steel legs being picked up by Team Hawk. And again, it looks like some steel plates, some chest pieces being bought, a lot of physical defense, and a little bit of mixture of magical to counter man on the Kadita. But again, they need to help Wiser. He is in a tough position of just being constantly harassed.
Yeah, definitely trying to find a way to get back to the goal lane again. I mean, with Wiser falling, that is a huge advantage for Team Hawk, right? Finding the goal lane, but Sabo hit with the Breath of the Ocean and
How did he
the Fatal
get
Links,
out of
and now
there?
maybe on Blast and the Flicker backwards sustains himself. I think we got to get a instant replay on that. That was like getting struck by lightning, the chances of being able to pull that off. But now Wiser very low, knocked airborne, manipulation drops down. Sunset will find Man caught in the manipulation as well. We'll be able to get out with the rough waves. But no, wait, the boy Crystal is gonna shut him down. Sunset Lever picking up his second kill.
Yeah, second kill and a double kill at that. Sunset Lever kinda starting to pop off. And if we've seen anything from last team or last game, maybe that's who they need to put pressure on for Team Hawk. But the turtle kind of being, you know, contested by the Atlas. What is going on in the base here?
Ooh, but Ware is going to be able to secure it. But look at the base. You're looking at Uranus trying to cut off all those minions. That just shows you how powerful he is, especially when you stack him up with that Brave Smite as well. He's almost unkillable. I mean, look at how he sustains himself, right? But looking on the top side, a Proxy possibly on the way for the lane. But Nane is going to shut down QLED, overstaying his welcome over there. But it looks like it may have been worth it, as this whole time they were trying to create the separation, starving out those minions to take this turret on the top side, and down it goes. But manipulation, Fatal Links for the set. Hito gonna find Sawo, killing spree activated, but Hito very low now. The Petrify in to Sunset from the wraparound. The pincer movement, and you are gonna see Man pick up the kill. Is gonna go ahead and take down Sunset, but wait a minute. Wiser needs to get out of there. Is gonna dodge the snipe, but Lola's still trying to keep him at bay. He's gonna use the Praise's Wrath, but Ware is gonna find Man off screen and claim the turret for the mid lane.
Yes, I mean, Team Hawk is so focused on one person that they're not focused on towers. And at this point, it does seem like the morale and maybe the communication's a little down here, as they are putting a lot of pressure onto Team Hawk at this point, pushing them back and back. Kind of looking at some more of the items. Beatrix still not picking up any items, but the Fatal Links on a Sunset, able to take down Sunset Lever there. That's a good play by Team Hawk. Both are equal, but this Vult definitely leading in the ecom.
Don't panic. panic.
Back into the game here. Looks like Deus Vult definitely still showing a lot of pressure. Lord barreling down. They're looking to crack into the base at this point. Roulette diving in, showing some of that sustainability and pressure. Lord kind of putting on some pressure on the base, but not too much. Team Hawk able to execute a great defense here as we see Deus Vult kind of back out. They don't opt to attempt to push any other turrets. The lane controls weren't too on the side for Deus Vult at this point. Now, kind of diving back into the land of Dawn here. What we need to see is that we do see some anti-heal picked up by Team Hawk, but not enough just yet. I mean, 2 Dom Ice, pretty good here. They do need to stop the Clint, so they need some physical defense, and we might see that come up. We'll see. Nothing out of the ordinary. A lot of immortalities picked up, and we're seeing Team Hawk definitely on the defense. They don't want to give up here, but they are definitely pushed back into their base. Goldly, not too crazy that is going to make it or break it at this point. What we really need to see is EXP at this point. Man is 13. Min is level 13. So they are pretty far behind on the EXP into this game. So we'll see what they can definitely turn around here.
Yeah, definitely trying to find a way to turn this around. I mean, you're looking at 12 to 13, 18 minutes in, right? Still could be a battle ping pong. Still could be anybody's match, even though Deus Vult had the great run so far for the early game and the mid and late. Now that we're getting too close to that 20-minute mark, just a slight clash can turn this around in Team Hawk's favor. And I think Deus Vult realizes they need to play a little bit more passive now. They got those first early objectives. Now all they need to do is close it out, right? You get this neutral objective Lord, this luminous one, and you can put down the mid lane and possibly get the game winner that they were looking for. But they have to find a way to also shut down Hito. I mean, look at his KDA, 5-0-1. And not to mention Nane, definitely find a way to that back line. They were able to shut down Wiser twice, nonetheless. So as we are jumping into this 20-minute mark, it looks like they are going to go ahead and pull up this aggro in Deus Vult's favor for the Luminous Lord. But a contest may need to happen. I mean, you can't let this objective go for free. This could be what decides this entire game. And Team Hawk, they're down 0-1. If they lose this game, Deus Vult will be able to get the sweep and move on to the semifinals.
Dude. Hewlett here is a nuisance. Like, he's just roaming around doing whatever he wants. Look, I mean, if they could just keep them at bay, they could maybe push mid here.
Yeah, needs to find an answer. Hito is going to find Wiser, though. There goes one. He's going to find the backline. Gets a double. Finds where? All before the Lord could even cross the mid-river. Nade very low, though. Sunset is going to shut him down with the Void Impact. But Lord still in effect. Mid trying to go in for a possible set. Hewlett trying to sustain himself. Trying to push down the mid lane. But it's taking some massive damage. Saw with the shutdown. Is going to find the backline. He is going to take down Hito. Mid very low, though. Immortality has been procced. He needs to get out of there, but the numbers are not in his favor, not able to escape. And Sunset's going to pick up yet another kill. 3 members down for Team Hawk. A Luminous Lord making his way into their base. The suppression, the Winter Truncheon is going to dodge the Numion Blast. Is going to drop down. The manipulation will drop as well. They find another. They do shut down Man. This may be a wipeout. Immortality is procced on low. They're not even going to go in for the kill. They're going to go in to close out this series with this Luminous Lord still intact. Base Crystal at 25% HP. And Sawo completes the wipeout. And that is all she wrote, as Deus Vult are going to go ahead and take down Team Hawk, sends Malaysia home, and moves on to the semifinals.
To the semifinals to face Falcon. But that was a great match, man. I gotta say, The energy was there. The Atlas play was something I was suspected, but it looks like it didn't play out for Team Hawk here. Again, I mean, Lance had a little bit of a trouble, apparently. I mean, 1-4-2, where it was rough. But hey, I mean, not everybody can be the main player in the team there. So, again, they just played really well. The Yves, the Uranus, Qlet was just an absolute nuisance, and I definitely see why the MVP went there.
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to see Deus Vult kind of have more of a stronger composition when it came to the early game, and that's exactly what we got out of this, right? I mean, this is what we could say was more of that one-sided story, and it's interesting to see how much they adapted from game one. Team Hawk was leading the way for the early game and made a few mistakes toward that mid phase, and that's where Deus Vult was able to turn it around. But I would say with this game, there really wasn't too many mistakes from Deus Vult. I think having that massive boost from taking game one was able to kind of carry them out to game two and finish it off with a sweep. And I also agree with the composure, over there from Team Hawk. Once you're down one game and you realize, this may be what sends us home, I mean, it can definitely affect their chemistry. And 2-0, we're going to go ahead and see the first team moving on to the semifinals in the Phygital Game 9 tournament. This is insane, right? I mean, who would have thought 2-0? I saw Team Hawk. We've known them competing in a lot of international events, and Deus Vult stepping up to the scene and shuts them down, the Kings of Russia.
Exactly. And as we see, Qlet here definitely deserved that MVP. The pressure, just the overall constant pressure that they applied to the map, and just controlling waves. They weren't even in a lot of team fights, still did a lot of damage, 1-1-10. They just, like I said, they just was a nuisance to Team Hawk, kept forcing them to put pressure on him to stop the lane controls in their own base at that, mind you.
Yeah, I mean, just the power of Uranus, when you stack that up with the new emblem system and you run the Brave Smite, I mean, he's pretty much unkillable. And then you rock a Purify on top of the Purify that he already has built in. I mean, there's just very few heroes that can kind of shut him down. You have to go for either high damage or somebody that can match not only his mobility, but his sustainability as well, like the Esmeralda. And I got to give credit where it's deserved, and well done on that MVP. I mean, they just didn't have an answer for him.
No, exactly. I mean, again, the Fanny pulled out for a second time. Wasn't as viable this time as I suspected, but hey, it happens. But taking a look at the brackets right now, we already see Deus Vult moves on to face Falcon Esports in the semifinals, but our next match is going to be Axe Team versus Flux Impunity. Another match I really am looking forward to, and I can't wait to see. Both teams, again, are 1-1 that are facing here as well, so it could be anybody's game. It does look like that Flux maybe lost one more game out of a best out of 3, but still took the win. So if I had to pick a team here, it does look statistically wise, Team Axe might be a little bit better suited to take the win from Flux.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be one to catch, in history in the making. I mean, Team Axe out from the Middle East, definitely representing from Saudi Arabia, may be able to pull it off. But when we look at Flux Impunity, right, this is a team out of Turkey. And I mean, we've seen them even in MSC, not having the worst showcasing. Honestly, they were looking very promising. When it comes to drafting for Flux Impunity, they definitely know what to slot and when to slot it. I would say they're possibly one of the higher caliber teams on this roster when they're all online. So I'm excited to see what they bring to the table. For Axe Team, they definitely don't want to get complacent or underestimate them, as we've seen just what they were capable of not too long ago with MSC. So being over here now for this amazing event for the Phygital Games, we got to see how much they have developed since then.
No, Oh, exactly. And I mean, they definitely have the viability, like you were saying, Flux does. And kind of looking at our schedule here, we can already see the first game of the day, 2-0, went to Deus Volts here. And then moving on to 1650, we're going to be looking at Axe Team versus Flux Impunity. After that, we'll get to see Falcon Esports versus Deus Volt at 8:20. And then at 1950, we're going to see Team Little Gun versus whoever the winner of our next match is of Axe Team versus Flux Impunity. Definitely some insane action-packed games coming up, and I can't wait to see our next series.
That's right, action-packed, and all these teams ready to fight it out, trying to claim the 9th trophy for the Phygital Games, but there can only be one winner as we are slowly making our way through the quarterfinals, and then we'll be seeing the semifinals today as well, right? So, and that's gonna also be a best of 3, which means there's still a lot of pressure when it comes to even that first game. You know, when it's a best of 5, you got a lot of wiggle room, but for a best of 3 and single elimination, yeah, it's kind of tough. But something interesting about when we do move on to the semifinals is there is a 3rd place battle, though. So that is something to kind of look forward to from everybody in the semifinals fighting it. Finals. The first game of today was, what, 32 plus minutes in the first game. And I'm hoping we see that same intensity for the second series.
Yeah, almost even into the second game as well. So it's interesting to see. So I want to see what they throw around here. Now, interesting fact here, right? Team Axe, by the way, is actually their coach is Jimmick, and you should know who that is. I know who that is. It's gonna be definitely interesting to see Weezy.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmick, definitely a familiar face. But guys, we will be going to a brief intermission. Don't go anywhere, as we'll be right back with you guys momentarily for the second series.
Икинчекине, Second Day, второй соревновательный день Phygital Games, дисциплины MLBB. Это Арни Дворам и Сиамисес. Хай, салют. Погнали! Первая каточка второго дня стартовала. Team Max и Flux. Team Max — это типа команда Макса. Пацаны, а кто из вас Макс? Макс! Это его команда. Я думаю, все уже разбираются, что тут на кубиках, да? Это дисциплины Phygital, Phygital MMA, Phygital Skateboarding, Phygital тактический бой, Phygital хоккей. Первая катка подошла к концу, первый матч закончился, команда Flux не уверена, но тем не менее победу забрала. Поэтому они проходят в 1/4, коллектив из Турции, поздравляем, пойдем посмотрим, как они вообще в целом. Congratulations!
Thank you.
Почему проиграли одну карту, блин? Почему не в одни ворота-то?
Бывает такое, когда делаешь что-то не так, оно бывает.
Ну, в 1/4 будете все делать так, получается, чтобы такого не было.
Так, ошибки знаем, будем исправляться.
Команда Akami Esports уже занимает свои места. Мы встречаем команду Hack Team, которая только-только подбирается к игровым креслам для того, чтобы настроиться и перейти ко второй игре этого денечка. Подожди, а что у них двое наушников? Зачем?
Капельки — это игра, а большие наушники с микрофоном — это для общения. Discord, TeamSpeak они там выбирают сами.
Спокойный такой настрой, вообще никто не переживает, такое ощущение. Типа сидят, взяли телефоны, как будто никто на них и не смотрит даже.
Кто-то... Сенсу забирает! Сенсу забирает! Черепаху! Что? Как так?
Это Akami Esports. Ребята проиграли и не проходят в четвертьфинал. How are you guys?
It's a really big problem because that's not our level, to be honest. He was the runner-up in the NBL MENA Season 3 last season. What we did is bad because the team was like, we literally made it in 2 days because we got a surprise invitation to this tournament. It's still a good experience, but could have been better, to be honest.
Третья карточка скоро. Скоро третья игра. Deus скоро будет играть. Вон они, кстати. У парней полотенца. Придется попотеть. Происходят неожиданные моменты. Ребята проиграли 1-2. Почему проиграли-то? Почему? Как так-то?
Даже не знаю. Так получилось, что залились несколько раз, и все пошло не по плану. Ну и, следовательно, слили последний файт, и все. Были заряжены, но, к сожалению, не победили.
Дестер, как тебе второй денек, и что там случилось с Деусами?
Честно сказать, не ожидал таких результатов от многих коллективов. И что произошло с Дево? Ну, одни из самых сильных соперников в группе. Это Lilgun, это Монголия. Это коллектив, который играет не на своих серваках. Это команда, которая занимала на ESF топ-1. Lilgun, ну, я ставлю на то, что они будут в финале. И надеюсь, это реванш. Део.
Предикт на вот этот матч, как считаете? Кто победит, все-таки Team Axe или Falcon Esports?
Как сказали ребята из студии, наверное, все-таки болеем за ОАЭ, соответственно, за X-Team, чтобы представители этой группы были у нас в турнире.
Да, а ты как считаешь?
Ну вот пока он болеет за ОАЭ, я болею за ОАО Deus Vult. Я считаю, что в любом случае команда, ребята из России должны побеждать, несмотря на то, что немножко не повезло на предыдущей игре. Нет, а здесь, конечно, интересно. Team Max, я думаю, что должны выиграть.
Ну все, тром, получается, уже падает. И сейчас все заорут просто. 3, 2, 1. Пойдем, это Phygital Games, 4-й матч только что завершился. Falcon Esports, Falcon. В общем, кто как хочет, так и называет. Главные победители именно они. Вот, те, что справа, ребята, в красном. Гайс, поздравляю, congratulations. Вот этими руками теперь можно играть нормально в игру компьютерную, ну, то есть мобильную. Быстренько зашел, сразу чувствуешь энергию чемпионов. Вот они, красавцы. Проходят дальше в полуфинал. Так что знай в лицо, как выглядят команды, и следи за Phygital Games.
February 2024. Russia presents, for the first time in history, an innovative international sporting event, Games of the Future. A cross-border tournament that combines physical and digital dimensions, bringing together sports, esports, and advanced technologies. Teams from every corner of the world will gather to compete across physical and digital challenges, each seeking glory and the chance to take home a portion of the impressive prize pool. Established by presidential decree and supported by top government officials the world over, this is the birth of the sporting future. For the first time, the physical and digital worlds will be woven together to create a new era of Phygital sports with one core mission: the promotion and development of a well-balanced individual. Digital gameplay enhanced by the energy of the crowd. You no longer need to choose between a ball or a gamepad. Here, the winners are crowned by achieving the best overall score across both traditional sports and digital gameplay. Games of the Future consists of 5 tournament clusters called Challenges. Sports Challenge, combining a selection of traditional sports disciplines with their video game counterparts, featuring Phygital knockout competitions where athletes must show their hybrid skills across both the digital and physical fields to play. Tactical Challenge, a contest in which athletes must demonstrate their team gameplay in tactical combat esports and show off their physical skills in a modern laser tag competition. Battle Challenge, an array of esports teams compete in popular strategy games, all hoping for a place in the giant live stadium final. Speedrun Challenge, pitting competitors against one another in a classic speedrun video game, as well as a real-world obstacle course. Technical Challenge, athletes compete across an array of high-tech device-led sports, including robot battles, drone racing, cyber-athletics, and virtual reality games. This groundbreaking first-of-its-kind sports event will unite competitors and fans, offer up a new generation of sporting heroes, and provide an entirely new, emotionally driven audience experience. Millions of people around the world will become a part of Games of the Future movement by following live streams across digital and streaming platforms and attending live events. The inaugural Games of the Future will be held in February 2024. The host of the first games, Kazan, will greet thousands of athletes and teams from more than 100 countries. The taste of victory. New sporting heroes. Boundless emotion. And open to every country of the world. By uniting sports and technology, we unite the world. Games of the Future. Made in Russia for generations to come.
Phygital Games, Казани.
Пока моменты гранд-финала и второй карты Mobile Legends своим там была действительно борьба.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the land of Dawn as we are in the Phygital Games number 9, the quarterfinals, and now on to the second series. About to launch up. We are looking at Axe Team going up against Fire, Flux, Impunity in a best of 3.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be a good bout as well. Equal to, you know, Deus Vult versus Team Hawk there. I feel like it's going to be equal. Both teams, again, are 1-1 in all of their series in the tournament so far. So into the group stages, they showed out about the same. So I want to see what happens when these teams go against each other that are kind of equal here. Again, like I was building off earlier, Weezy here, is that Team Axe actually has someone that I actually know on it as a coach. So I kind of want to see how they evolved, how he's taken this team to where they're at now.
Yeah, you're referring to Gimmick, right? And I think that's amazing to see him stepping into that scene. So definitely shout out to Gimmick and all the coaches out there for all these teams competing today. And, you know, it's definitely going to be a hard battle. And I can agree with you on seeing which way this goes, right? I mean, Fire, Flux, Impunity, we've seen them in MSC. They've been a very heavy competitor, actively competing this year. And they had a great performance inside of the MSC. They didn't win, but they were able to take down some teams, and also you were able to see a little bit of a sneak peek of their drafting styles, their rotations. And something that definitely stuck out to me for that team was their composure. They're able to kind of stay cool, calm, and collected, but also aggressive at the same time. So I do expect them to kind of keep their eyes on the prize and focus on all these neutral objectives. And for Axe Team, we need to see them match that same rhythm. Is now looking at Axe Team getting ready to step into the ring, looking sharp and looking ready to fight it out, trying to make their way into the semifinals. All they need to do is find a way to shut down Fire, Flux, Impunity in this best of 3.
Most definitely. And as we look at Fire, Flux, Impunity here coming onto this stage, I wonder if they'll be going shoulder to shoulder like Deus Vult. Doesn't look like it here as they're kind of coming in. Only one of their team waved. Not sure if they're just the first 3 are just like, man, just get me at my table and get me into MLBB. I'm ready for it. But hey, it's okay. They're coming out of Turkey here to represent. I want to see what they can definitely come around. That 4th guy seems like he's really happy.
Yeah, they're definitely ready to fight this out. I mean, we're looking at Turkey versus Saudi Arabia. So everybody out there, definitely shout out your regions and who you guys think will be able to claim this series. I don't know which way this is going to go, but I do know it's definitely going to be an amazing show nonetheless. So draft, but if we're looking at Axe Team, right, they need to find a way to possibly outdraft them or make them uncomfortable before the game even starts. I think that's definitely something they should focus on, and I also feel like there's just a lot more information out there for how Fire, Flux, Impunity plays. So we did see them in MSC and we didn't see Axe Team. Maybe they did a little bit of research behind the scenes to prepare for this event, which could give them the slight advantage.
Yeah, and I mean, at this rate, maybe Team Axe kind of is the dark horse of, you know, the side games here. So I want to see how it turns out. I feel like it's definitely going to be an interesting go. Now, like you were saying, Fire, Flux, Impunity, they've been around. They know their stuff. But they also have taken one more loss than Team Axe here. So I want to see what kind of runs out of it. Kind of looking at some of their teammates here, Weezy.
Yeah, looking at the roster for both sides, you got Jed, 7-man Dan. You also have Buez, Nanos, and Eisen over there for Axe Team. And then on the side of Flux Impunity, Alien, Tenzi, Rosa, Sunshine, and Apex 47 ready to fight it out. The battle of Saudi Arabia versus Turkey in the Phygital Games number 9.
I feel like I've seen Apex 47 somewhere else before, right? Wasn't Apex on a different team before?
No, because he's from Turkey, so they I want to say their only really heavy hitters has been Flux Impunity, but there may be another Apex though, just without the 47.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there might be, because I was just looking at some of his stats, and definitely not the same Apex 47 I know.
Well, speaking of things we do know, the draft is on the way between these teams, and this is where we're going to see the method behind the madness before we step into the land of dawn, right? We already seen that first ban showcasing, and this time it's going to be the Eve. It wasn't the Angela that we've been seeing for the entire first series.
Yeah, I mean, maybe to sneak through. Dude, I don't think we're ever gonna see an Angela Weezy. When I've looked at these stats, it's almost 100% picked or banned at this point. That, the Kaja, and again, in the overseas tournament, we're not seeing a lot of Francos, which is quite interesting since he's the only other suppression in the game. But if we don't see a Kaja ban here soon, that actually might be a really good first pick by Team Axe.
Yeah, and you're going to go ahead and see this Fanny taken off the board. A little bit of homework from Flux Impunity on what Axe Team is capable of. Maybe was watching them in the group stage. But with these being off the board and that Valentina as well, I mean, there is still some viable options out there. I mean, the R-Lot is still on the table, right? You can slot that in, and we haven't got to see him yet. I mean, he's been banned out so far, so maybe picking him up could be a possible answer. Now, I mean, the Valentina, I like that. It takes draft pressure. Something else that, like you mentioned, the Navaria, right? In North America, typically what we see is if Navaria walks in the first half of the bans, she gets picked up almost instantly. But it looks like she's not really even prioed too often over here for the Phygital Games, which is this a possible shift in meta? I mean, you know, I'd like to say every region has their own play style on what they, you know, prefer to be the top tier heroes, and kind of like G mentioned, the Franco. I mean, we always either see Kaja or Franco if they are not banned, because that suppression, at least in our region, is a problem and very hard to deal with. But looks like they're not going to ban out the suppression. Kaja and Franco are still on the table.
I like how they have their coach. They just hand them the phone. Just pick it for me. Just pick it for me at this point. Fredrin getting taken off. Paquito. They opt to first pick a Uranus. We seen in the last game, not with these two teams, but it was definitely a menace to society for the other team. So I feel like that's a good first pick, but that leaves open a lot of options. Fairness was constantly banned. I mean, Navaria is still open. There's R-Lot still there. Joy, like, there's so many good picks. They could even slide in a Leslie if they wanted to. I think it's all just gonna come up to what Fimp wants to utilize and what combos they want.
That's right. I mean, with all this meta on the table, and they took the Uranus, but I feel like they could have profited off of that even later in the draft. Like, they could have played a little bit more passive, but I guess we can say the thing with Uranus is he's pretty much unkillable. But speaking of things that are unkillable, Rosa is going to lock in that Joy, and then they're going to lock in that Kaja as well, which would be technically the counter to the Joy. So that is suppression into the hands of Flux Impunity alongside the electrifying beats from Rosa. Now, the only other things that I can see that can really give the Joy a hard time is maybe slot in that R-Lot, or, well, I guess you can't because you have the Uranus. Well, no, yeah, they're definitely not going to. So I would say they need like a Kufra either a Kufra
I
or
was gonna
Franco
say
here
that.
to stop him.
Yep, a Kufra would be a good play by Axe right now if they wanted to counter a little bit of what's going on. But again, you gotta kind of still think on what they were attempting to play here. This is the third time now that we're gonna be seeing a Kagura, and they also picked up a Ling, which is also interesting as well, because Kaja specializes on taking Ling off the wall.
Yeah, I mean, this is my exact thought process behind it. I mean, like we keep comparing, North America over here, in our meta and what we're used to seeing. When you have that Kaja on the table, you're not going to pick that assassin unless you just plan on overwhelming him. Now, something that doesn't work in Kaja's favor is he's only single target CC, so they are going to need somebody to make up in that department, and there it goes right there. Alien going to drop down in a UFO with this Terizla pick.
Yeah, I feel like the Terizla pick is a good go. I mean, they don't know who's going to be in the back line just yet, because both teams haven't opted to pick their gold lanes. So I feel like it's a safe pick. You're easy dive into the back. You got really great sustainability. You also have that crowd control, that massive crowd control as well with the penalty zone. So a great go for an EXP laner, someone that can actually put a little bit of pressure on the Uranus. So we'll see. They opt to start banning out mages instead of MMs or anything like that right now, as the other team, Fimp, decides to ban out some tanks. They didn't ban out the Kufra, so they're not too scared of a Kufra, I guess. And they actually banned out a Leslie.
Yeah, they do ban out that Leslie. Now, something interesting, though, is when they locked in this Terizla, I mean, that's going to be in the XP lane, which means this is going to be a mid lane Joy, possibly, because I don't really see them profiting too much in Joy in the jungle. But that may not
I was
work in their
thinking
favor.
maybe
Joy,
a jungle.
You think it could be a jungle? It's possibly
jungle.
maybe the jungle. Either jungle or mage, but I just feel like Joy is just a better hero in the XP lane. I just think there's stronger answers when it comes to, the mid lane and the jungle position. But when they locked in the Terizla alongside it, they're kind of limited on where this Joy can go now. Speaking of picks, you are going to see Sunshine rain some lights upon us. Going to go ahead and pick up this Beatrix for the gold lane. This is the first showing of the marksman for Flux Impunity. And now we got to see how Axe Team is going to respond. I mean, the Claude's already taken off the table, so that's one of the marksmen alongside the Leslie that have been taken off the board.
Brody. No. Brody was banned in a lot of the other games, so I don't know if we'll see him, slip through the cracks and maybe get picked. But again, I mean, it's kind of a tough go on deciding on what type of MM they want to go for at this point. They pick up the Brody, kind of what I was suspecting. It was kind of like the only thing opened at this point that would be availability and a Natalia. Nani?
7M Dan is digging deep inside of that bag today. Is gonna pull out this Natalia. Now this is gonna be a sight to see, right? And yes, they are lacking heavily in the CC department with this pickup, though. They don't have anybody to really set. I mean, you have the corrosive strike from Brody for a little knockback stun on a single target. Other than that, you really only have the Tempest of Blades and the smoke screen or bomb from 7M Dan. So I don't know how this is going to work out. They're going to have to be very aggressive in the early game to pull out this composition, because if this gets to the late, it may not work in that favor, as that Natalia definitely can fall off and it doesn't scale as easily if they can shut her down in the early phase. And that's going to finalize the draft from both sides. Definitely an interesting game. The first Natalia that we're seeing so far for today, slotted in the roam position for Axe Team.
Yeah, and I mean, I do think that Fimp's going to be running this Joy jungle, unless they're opting to go a Lunox jungle, but I highly doubt it. We'll kind of see once we hop into the land of dawn here. But like you were saying, Axe just isn't going to have CC. I mean, at most, again, the Brody, maybe a little bit of slow and a little bit of CC by the Kagura. But again, I mean, unless they're wanting to all play in the bushes, I think this is going to be a little bit of a rough game for Axe.
Yeah, they have to like get the early pickoffs. You have to be the one to lead the way in the early game with this composition, right? If I'm Flux Impunity and I'm going against this draft, I know they're going to be aggressive, right? But you don't have to play their game. You don't have to try and punish them. Punish them by playing passive and playing patient and also playing safe, right? You need Sunshine to stay alive. As you know, Axe with 7-man Dam, he's going to be running in on this Natalia, trying to use that execute and get the early kill. I mean, the Brody can beat the Beatrix in that lane, right? He has more range and can definitely deal more damage. So you want to play safe, as we are looking at the audience prediction. 45% for Axe team and 55% for Flux Impunity.
Interesting. Well, I mean, I do have to say that Fimp does have a lot of magic damage, you know? So that could be a little bit of a problem for them when it comes into the mid game. So I feel like if Axe really utilizes that to their advantage, builds a little bit of anti-magic early on, they could sustain a lot of the pressure that Fimp could bring. Now, Fimp, again, they just got to be really aggressive and controlling, as you can already see. First blood.
Yeah, already drawing that first blood. The power of joy and the electrifying beats. Too much to handle. And that's a good start, right? We wanted to see how this Joy was going to kind of work into this composition. With it slotted into the jungle, typically we see it more as an XP laner, but already off to a good start. And I mean, we were talking about the winning conditions, right? Axe team, they need the early kills. They need to have the advantage with this aggressive composition they have. And right now you're seeing them still kind of be punished, but wait a minute. Aizen gonna wrap around, gonna possibly try and take down TNZ. It's gonna use the Tempest of Blades. Ooh. One more hit is gonna find him and even out this scoreboard.
Able to get away pretty quick as well. Apex kind of coming up from behind. I don't know if they're going to be able to capitalize on anything out of that, but losing your jungle is a little rough in the early game. Joy going down, that's going to allow Aizen to farm up a little bit more, but does dive into the turtle here. Whoa!
Oh, Sunshine, but is going to fall. 7-man Dam is going to take him down with the power of that Natalia. CNZ is going to go ahead and take up this turtle. Rosa finds Nanos in the mid lane. A lot of chaos so far. 3-2 though. Flux Impunity able to take up the scoreboard in terms of kills, but we are going to have to see maybe this Natalia get a couple more pickoffs to lead the way. I mean, this is still a little too even for them to have such an aggressive composition. I mean, they need to dominate in the early game, because if they don't, Flux is going to scale a lot better. But speaking of scaling, Jet is going to find Alien inside of the turret. The 2v1 combination with Aizen was too much for him to handle. But now on the bottom lane, a possible response, a mirror image effect. Down goes a Bennett's Rage. You already seen that brilliance from Rosa to escape as well. And Nanos is going to rotate around to force them out of that siege.
Yeah, they attempted to try to make a great play there. Ling pushing in the middle turret definitely could have got quite a bit of gold off of that bad boy, but opts to go back into the jungle. A little interesting there. Team Axe looking really good though. I mean, they were a little bit behind, but now in the ecom they've come back because of how much gold they've taken from the top turret.
Yeah, and you're going to see Rosa pick up a kill. Is going to find Jed, and I mean, this is a good answer to this unkillable Uranus. He's already fallen twice so far in the last 4 minutes. I mean, Rosa picking up 2 kills, definitely has the burst potential with that power of darkness, but you are going to go ahead and see Flux Impunity trying to find a way to shut down the bottom side. They need to get Boo E's offline, but he's playing very passive, right? He's playing this Brody. He has the mobility at his side. 4 seconds until his flicker comes back as well with that corrosive strike. It's definitely a good pickup having that Brody in their favor.
Yeah, most definitely. And I mean, once Brody can start hitting turrets, it's going to be a little bit of a problem for him. But look at literally, Jed will not get off of Alien. I don't know if he's going to be able to make it out of there.
He's going to use that flicker. That's again. Oh my goodness, the flame shot, but he still sustains himself.
My God, what a play. I mean, It was a good go, but I mean, look, now the Uranus is going to get a little bit of a lead and now taking off a lot of HP on that tower, but a turtle take here.
Yeah, TNZ is going to claim that turtle. You did see Eisen, though, rush in with the tips of blades. Not able to hit the retribution in time, but nonetheless, a good try at that objective. Just fell a little short on the timing. And that is going to be this turtle going to Flyer Flux Impunity. Now leading in the economy. I mean, they're up by 1.5K right now. That is huge for only being 5 minutes in.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good snowball. I mean, as long as Alien can keep this tower from falling, I feel like they'll have a little bit of a lead. But that's the problem that we're seeing here, is that Rose is in trouble.
Yeah, Rose needs to get away. Eisen is going to take down Rosa, but look at the flicker out. Bui's showing the power of Brody, and the survivability is going to dodge the bench race. But look at the group up over there. The damage from Nanos.
Damage.
The chain damage on the TNT Sunshine and Apex.
Oh my god. Brody just clears a lane so well. As you can see, they're trying to put on a lot of pressure into the gold lane, but they just can't. As, again, I mean, Team Axe is doing decent. They were a little far behind in the economy, but being able to take a tower first is where it's at. And kind of taking a look at some of the items, we do see that Rosa picked up a Clock of Destiny early on before Boots, so that's going to pay off a little bit more into the 8 minutes part of the game. Dom Ice already picked up by Terizla to counter the Uranus, but a combat going.
Is dropping down. Namir's Passion goes out as well. Not going to lead to anybody falling in that engagement, just to check a power. But on the top side, I mean, Bu's now going to try and make his way to that tier 2 turret, and they may not be able to get there in time. Now, you know, one of the kind of power spikes has already been hit for Sunshine. He already picked up that Blade of Despair, so he's going to have that high physical damage output, and that's one of the most, if not the most expensive physical damage item in the game. And compared to Brody on this Blade of Heptases, yes, Brody may be able to do that initial burst damage, but the Blade of Despair is going to come into play a lot more for Fireflux Impunity, because it's damage overall, no matter what the circumstance. And when they drop below 50% HP, that's when he's really going to shine over there. Whereas Bu's, he's just going in for the solo engagement, really, with that Blade of Despair, just hoping to find somebody one-on-one or possibly stacked up. But I mean, it could be costly when it does come into these group engagements for the neutral objectives.
Yeah, and I mean, we gotta say that Team Axe is leading the way there. The Joy showed off a little bit in like literally the first minute of the game, but Aizen on this Ling, he's just quick. As a conceal play being made by Apex, though.
Yeah, TNZ is going to get hit with the Finch Poise and the Torn Apart Memories, and Sunshine picks up a kill. Eisen finds TNZ, though. May be able to get out, too. He's going to use the Tempest of Blades and rotate around. That's going to be a 1-for-1 trade, as 7 Damn fell in the process. But wait, may be able to even out the scoreboard, or actually take the advantage, as Bui's going to shut down Rosa. Captain a rock in 3 hard places right there. 6-5, Axe team leading the way in kills.
Yeah. And I mean, just look at Jed. He's just putting on so much pressure onto Alien here. Going into his tower and then just getting full HP. Now he has to run. He's so low. Yo. This is why you ban a Uranus.
Eisen.
Oh, Natalia. Dude, they really want to get him. But, again, Team Axe is really controlling the objectives at this point. They have pushed in as many towers as they possibly could. Just the mid tower is the only tier 1 standing for Fimp. Looking quite wild. I was thinking Fimp's team was where it was at, and look, bam. Uh-oh. All right, so looking like Fimp being able to get the first Lord is definitely what they wanted. and that allows them to be able to have that breathing room and clear up all of these turrets that they were down. Again, there's a little bit of a lead by Team Axe, but it does look now with the Lord secured by Fimp, they're going to make it out on top with this one. So we'll see how this turns out here, Weezy.
Yeah, we'll see. Definitely see how it turns out here. I mean, it's still a pretty close game, no matter how you slice it. But with that Lord pushing in on the top side and the play for the mid lane to seize these turrets, Fireflux Impunity trying to take control of this game. Huge penalty zone. Sunshine finds Jed. 7M Dan finds Rosa. Sunshine is going to find Boo Ease. But Tips of Blade drop down on an Alien, and Dylan damage to Sunshine. Finds TNZ, but too many targets to focus on. Eisen is going to have to go back. 7M Damn is going to catch TNZ, though. With this Natalia rotating around, at least gets one member of Fireflux Impunity on that engagement. That's going to be a 2-for-2 trade.
That was a little bit of a misplay by Sunshine. Swapped to the sniper. Wasn't able to get the shutdown on Aizen. If Ling would have had a shutdown, Sunshine would have been scaling so hard at that point. But the sniper is really hard to hit on such a sticky, quick target like a Ling. Kind of looking at some of the items, nothing really sticking out here. Ling has definitely hit his power spike. Uranus definitely has a lot of defensive items. Kaja building the fleeting time early, so we're going to be seeing a lot of ults come out. But Tempest of Blades.
Eisen is going to find Sunshine for the mega kill. TNZ is going to find Eisen to respond, though. That's going to be a 1-for-1 on the board, but you are going to still see that turret. It did fall in the mid lane, so Fireflux Impunity definitely has the advantage to be able to kind of rotate into the jungle for Axe Team if they wanted to. But this is just such an even game. I mean, it's 9-8. I feel like every time one team gets a kill, the other one matches it within the next 30 seconds. So we got to see who can kind of lead the way, right? You want to see who actually has the control in this phase. As we are now 12 minutes in, we're about to be seeing this Luminous Lord spawn in as well. And I think this is going to be the power spike we're looking for to see who is leading the way for game one.
Yeah, I mean, the constant pressure in the back line on the Natalia is definitely going to be good in the early to mid game, kind of stepping into the late game. The mid to late game right now, Natalia possibly going to start falling off unless she's going to be catching some of the squishier heroes off guard. Does look like they're attempting to hit a split push with Natalia instead, but the Lord just falls immediately to Fimp. My God.
And you are going to see Sunshine pick up those Hawes Claws as well. So Sunshine will be a little bit more sustainable, especially with this Natalia being on the board. As long as you can get a couple of basic attacks off, you will be able to heal yourself right back up and stay in the action a lot longer. I mean, we know that this Natalia is going to be looking for him. But with this Luminous Lord now making his way on the top side in the battle on the way, Jed is going to take down Tienz and the Divine Judgment for the suppression. Sunshine used the Wind of Nature, finds a kill, finds 7M Dan. With that Hawes Claws and that Wind of Nature in effect, he was not able to take him down. Buiz is going to find Rosa, though. Finds one member. That's going to be a 2-for-1 trade. Axe Team having more members for this engagement, but have to defend this Luminous Lord making his way on the top lane.
Yeah, definitely making its way. I actually thought Alien was going to do a penalty zone in there or something, but definitely opted not to. Again, they can utilize this Lord to continue to clean up lanes, but gotta give it up to Axe, man. They're defending really well. The split push by Ling is already happening. And Kagra utilizing that umbrella to his fullest, you know, constantly giving vision as well. Can they take this turret in the bot lane with the pressure that they have?
And Immortality was picked up from Alien to have a little bit of a saving grace when it comes to these engagements, soaking up all of that damage from Axe Team, and I think that's going to be the game plan. Let him initiate, drop down that penalty zone, let them use all of their utility on you, and then we'll go in. No worries, you have the Immortality to save yourself, and then that's when we'll punish. So that looks like that's the game plan for Fireflux Impunity, and we kind of mentioned it in the early game, right? Axe Team needed to find a way to shut them down, especially with this Natalia pick, but it's been such an even matchup. I mean, looking at the damage items picked up, they're stacked. There's really the only defense is on this Uranus. That's the only one who has a defensive item. Brody's slowly making a defensive item on his side, and this is where they're gonna probably start hurting as Sunshine is going to go ahead and pick up that tier 2 turret for the top side. But without the defensive items, slowly Fire, Flux, Impunity may be able to scale a little bit better than them if they don't pull off these initial engagements.
That's what I said in the early stage, right? Like, I mean, Fimp had a lot of magic damage. Now you're just waiting to the very late game to start building any anti-magic. Is gonna be a little rough for the team. They're going too aggressive. Oh my god. You have negative health right there. There's no way you just lived. Nanos just walks right away with 1 HP.
And we got to give credit over to Sunshine too. I mean, the man's 5-2-1. He has more than half the kills for Fire, Flux, Impunity so far. And I think that's who 7 and Damn needs to find a way to get to him. But with that Wind of Nature in the Haas clause, it just makes it very difficult, even with him having all those attack items, right? He has the Blade of Heptases. He also has, I believe, the Malefic Roar as well. So it's just not enough, right? You can sustain yourself. You drop the Wind of Nature, and you can pretty much guarantee you a kill onto the Natalia. And that's what they've been kind of waiting for. But speaking of fights, Aizen is going to find TNZ. Finish Rage does drop down in the battle for the Lord Pit.
That was a good play by Axe. Being able to secure the kill onto Tinzi now allows them to, you know, take a Lord once the Retri is up. It looks like they're trying to take a little bit more than just the Lord, maybe the mid tower. The sniper pending by Sunshine, but it does back out. Looked like Aizen was trying to see where the sniper was. They're just waiting so long to take this Lord here.
And Aizen is going to be able to claim that for Axe team. Sunshine had to split to clear out those minions to not lose that inhibitor for the top side with the flame shot. Jed trying to get out of it. Look at that. I mean, you said negative 15% HP. That was like negative 30 right there. And you are going to be able to see Jed escape.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what happened. That's what's happening in these games is that the low HP heroes are just making it out with like 1 HP. And that's just how equal the teams are at this point, even though Axe is definitely has more kills. But again, they do have a lot of damage, and not really having a tank is a little rough. They're kind of substituting Jed as their tank and just kind of going all damage. They're doing another great assault, trying to take out the mid turret. They really need to clean up this mid lane because that's kind of what's keeping Fimp on the playing board, is that they always have an escape.
Yeah, definitely always having a game plan, no matter where they're at on the map, and that could be what they need to lead the way in this match. But speaking of leading the way, Luminous Lord making his way on the top lane. The siege for the mid turrets may be on the way, but the dive in, forcing out the brilliance from Rosa. Aizen risking it all to try and take out the back line from Fimp.
And they still have not secured this mid turret. They really want it, but a conceal play made.
Yeah, possibly on the way. Fimp on the aggressive nature is going to use Divine Adjustment with the Finish Race. Sunshine is going to secure that kill, and they don't just find anybody. They take down Boo Ease, the marksman for Axe team. If there was anybody you could have gotten that engagement, that is the most high valuable target for Axe team, and a job well done.
Oh, definitely a job well done. And I mean, this is what happens when you actually have a tank that makes plays, right? Natalia is just all about poking and getting to the enemy team, but how are you going to get to the enemy team when they're 4 stacked like that? You're just going to go in and die, and Fimp knows that.
Yep, and speaking of diving, look at Aizen. He's going to take that inhibitor on the top side, just full send for that objective, and now recall back to the base. And that is going to open up the base for Fimp. It has been cracked open. A path to the base crystal could be on the way if they're not careful. But Aizen jumps in. Oh no, Alien jumps in with the penalty zone. Does get that double set. Not going to be able to make anything out of it for Fimp, though. They realize they weren't able to really profit in that engagement, so they're going to go ahead and regroup.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to see how it turns out here. Kind of looking at some items. Immortality picked up by Truzla and Kaja at this point. We're already making it into the 6K gold, so everybody's really online. The biggest difference is that we stole hardly see any magical defense besides Brody picking up something on the side of Team Axe.
Yeah, I mean, this is a battle of offense versus defense. Offense being Axe Team and defense being Flux Impunity, as TNZ is going to go ahead and claim up this Lord, the slightest advantage, which could lead the way to opening up this match in their favor. I mean, there's only an inhibitor for the mid and the bottom side for Axe Team, and the same for Flux Impunity. But the funniest thing is we're 20 minutes in, and they have still not found a way to claim this mid turret.
That is true. That is true. And I mean, also Fimp also has 3 Lords in their pocket already. I mean, we're going to be looking at a Luminous Lord at this point. The tower's already cracked in, so they're pushing in. I mean, this is a play that's going to be a little rough for them. NZ really wanted to put some pressure onto the Natalia there, as Aizen is trying to put pressure on Alien. Again, I think they're going to be able to crack into all of the towers into their base here, as the Lord is still pushing. If they're able to get a pick, they might be able to end it.
Yeah, it looks like they may go in for, I mean, they don't have the defensive items, and they definitely have the damage. Apex is going to find Eyes and Sunshine, takes down Nanos. 2 members falling for Axe Team. Make that 3 as TNT finds Jed. Rosa finds 7 Damn. That's going to be 4 members falling. Only Boo Ease by himself, not able to fend them off. In an amazing game, the battle of offense versus the battle of defense. And it looks like the defense prevailed, able to kind of take that first game against them. Flux Impunity leading the way 1-0.
That was a clean game. I mean, able to secure pretty much all the Lords but one. Fimp just showed out in this game. I mean, Axe looked good, but they just struggled at taking that mid turret. Kind of looking at some of the hero stats here. Kagra didn't do too well against the team that was very dashy. You just really couldn't catch anybody with your umbrella. But I gotta give, again, Sunshine, the Beatrix definitely deserves the MVP. Just constantly putting pressure on to Boo, 7M, and Nanos.
Yeah, just an amazing game. I mean, looking at the damage dealt, the highest did go to Sunshine as well. I mean, all those physical damage items. And you know what's funny about this is he had a higher percent than anybody on the team of Axe Team, and they all had damage items. And the fact that he was able to kind of beat them all in that area is just kind of insane. Now, this means Axe Team needs to find a way to take game 2, or it's going to be a similar situation to the first series we've seen today with Deus Vult fighting it out, right? You need to find a way to even out the series, as this is only a best of 3. Whoever wins here is going to move on to the semifinals, right? So this means this is a possible match point. All Flux Impunity needs to do is take one more game, and they'll send Axe Team home. Can Axe Team move up on this bracket, or at least move up in this next match to even out the series?
I mean, really, all they have to do is not pick a Natalia. Utilize utilize an actual tank. I understand the strategic factor behind it, but there was just way too many squishy people on the team. Kind of looking at an MVP here. Fimp, Sunshine, able to go 8-2-3, 29% of the team's damage. Definitely deserved it. Sold the boost later on to be able to just deal a lot of damage, as well as sold the Wind of Nature to secure the immortality for the end game there. Definitely a well-deserved MVP.
Yeah, just flawless execution, not only in the micro and the macro, but also in the itemization. We saw him pick up that Wind of Nature. We saw him pick up that Haas Claws. He knew that would be a problem for the Natalia, who's going to rush in and try and take him down, and he punished. I mean, the Natalia didn't even have physical defense, so all he had to do was really just out-damage the Natalia and survive with that Wind of Nature in that play, and that's what we've seen. And normally when you see the Natalia, you expect the marksman to struggle on the enemy side, because that's what Natalia's job is. Find the mage, find the marksman, and also look for the low HP heroes in the back line, trying to go back for some regen, and just wasn't there for them. And I can definitely agree. If they want to stay in this game, Axe Team needs to build up some physical defense, right? Get a composition that kind of meets the basic requirements for your standard 5-man composition. Have somebody who provides group CC, have somebody who's sustainable, have somebody that can deal the damage, and then also maybe throw in a little bit of mobility like an assassin in there, and I think they'll be good to go. But when they just dive full in for damage, it just doesn't work out in your favor, especially this day and age with the new meta and the new emblems. I mean, you have to kind of pick your poison, and I think it's a better draft when you're more balanced and you meet these basic requirements than putting all your eggs in one basket for that damage. Because I mean, we saw it; they didn't profit in the early game like they should have, right? I mean, if you're full damage and everybody else is just kind of building a little bit of defense, a little bit of damage, but you're full damage as a team, you gotta dive and get those kills. You can't be even on the scoreboard all the way to like 10 minutes in.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I kind of did a little bit of research and I figured out where I've seen a lot of these players. So FIMP, a lot of the players on FIMP are actually from Incendio Supremacy, which was one of the teams that made it pretty far in the lower bracket of M4. And I was like, I swear I've seen these players before. So it does seem like FIMP, they have a solid roster on their team. You know, someone that a lot of them have on stage experience. Again, being able to see the Southeast Asia Cup and everything like that showed also that they have a lot to bring to the table, and they showed it here. I mean, their draft was just, I mean, it was phenomenal, and the other team just kind of walked right into their trap.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely couldn't agree with you any more than that. I mean, they are a superstar team, right? I mean, they're literally the superstar team from Turkey, and it's going to show. And that's why we can definitely agree they need to have some sort of even composition to match them, right? It's just, I think it's going to start in the draft. I couldn't even say it's really their execution. I think their execution was okay. It was just the heroes that they selected. And you know, just wasn't an easy game. It was more of that, what we say, kind of a one-sided story. I mean, they weren't even able to, I don't think they took that mid lane turret. Didn't walk the entire game.
No, it was a tough time, and you suspected that maybe with a Brody that they would just be able to get in there and secure that turret with no problem. But it was a little bit of a rough time. They were able to take a lot of the outer turrets, and they showed tenacity and, you know, securing neutral objectives early on. But it's when it came to that mid to that early late game where they started to fall off. The Natalia just kind of lost viability in their team comp at that time. And I feel like in the current meta, that is something you got to watch out for. I mean, if you're picking a comp like this, you better be willing to do everything it takes to end the game as fast as possible.
Yeah, and you know, now the question is, where do they go from here, right? I mean, we seen in the first series today, Team Hack versus Deus Vult. Team Hack was looking strong. They were looking very promising for game one, but then they lost, right? And you've seen Deus Vult take the advantage. It was 1-0. But then when we jumped into game two, it's as if they were just swapped the players completely, with their resolve being a little bit tarnished after losing game one and knowing this may be it for us. We may be sent home. That's a lot of pressure. I mean, they're also competing on stage. Yeah, me and G, we're across the world, you know, over here on the webcam, but they're in person fighting it out, you know, and that is like another dynamic that a lot of people don't really look into. It's a lot of pressure, especially when you're down and you're like, this game is what's going to decide if we go home or not, right? And that's what I like to say with pressure. Pressure makes diamonds, or it bursts pipes, and we've seen it burst pipes for Team Hack over there from Malaysia, so they definitely need to get that checked out. But looking at this game, how are they going to respond? Is the pressure going to get to them? Or are they going to build up that pressure and make it work in their favor?
I feel like they just really need to live and learn at this point, you know, like they just need some type of tank that can, you know, set. I mean, be it a Minosaur, just anything at this point, to be honest. I felt, again, like the Natalia was an interesting pick that we just don't see very often. And I just don't, I feel like all late game or all early game heroes that fall off late game just aren't viable right now. So it just comes down to the draft at this point. We need to see a better draft from Team Axe in order for them to win the game. Because to be honest, I felt like FIMP's draft was just executed very well. They knew what they wanted to do, and since they executed the draft, they were able to again execute it in game with utilizing the Kaja and then, you know, picking off Boo a lot of the times. And again, some of those times it could just be that maybe Boo shouldn't have been in that position anyways. So getting caught sometimes is also a problem. So just learning from those little mistakes can definitely make a big factor into upcoming games. Looks like it's just me, guys. You only get the Aiko experience. Wheezy is.
I'm back now.
I think he might be back.
I was free. I did it on purpose. I was just, you know. No, I'm kidding. No. Anyway, jumping into the game, quarterfinals, the playoffs. We're looking at Fireflux Impunity going up against Axe Team, and Fireflux Impunity took game 1, right? And I mean, they weren't even able to claim the turret in the mid at all for Axe Team. They went for that aggressive composition, and it didn't just work out the way they planned it to in the draft. So jumping into game 2, I think me and you both can agree. We want to see something that's more evenly balanced when it comes to defense and offense.
Most definitely. And I feel like any team with a coach should understand that and come with it. Always feels like the first team never bans Angela and the second team always bans Angela. It's always in that spot. Again, people just don't like to see Angela. It's a powerful pick at this point in this current meta, and I feel like it's just going to be 100% a permanent ban coming around. Now, still getting into the feel of it. We still got to see what they decide to opt for here. What do you think they're going to go with here, Weezy? We still don't got a lot of information.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to go ahead and take out that Ling. I mean, we've been seeing Ling picked up a lot today, right? I mean, he's been pretty high prioritized. Same with the Valentina. I mean, we've seen Min and Man wreaking havoc over there. And, you know, now looking at these two teams fighting it out, that Valentina definitely is a hard hero to go against. And especially when you have first pick, you can slot that in and provide that draft pressure to kind of make Axe Team limit who they choose because they don't want that Valentina to have that ultimate. So I'm not totally against this. There is still suppression on the table though. The Kaja is still in effect. Could be an answer. And same thing with this Joy that we've seen have a little bit of the easier time. And it was ran in the jungle too, and it was pretty impressive. Now, between those two, I think one of those should get taken off, possibly the Kaja. But then there's also the Arlot, who is still walking free right now.
Yeah, Arlot, Fredrin's still open, Kaja is still open. I do feel like Fimp is attempting to try to build probably a similar comp, to be honest. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a first pick Kaja here, or they could even opt to go with the Fredrin. But again, I mean, it's all dependent upon what they decide their comps are at this point, because there's still a lot open. Bam. They opt to go for the Fredrin instead. Maybe we'll see Team Axe respond with that Kaja. If Team Axe learned anything, they should. And hey, look, right there already, Kaja picked up. The Phygital was a little interesting to see, but I do kind of feel like it could be a viable pick here if it's going to be facing off against the Fredrin.
Yeah, I mean, the Phygital is definitely going to be interesting. Possibly was a response to the Fredrin, maybe expecting it to be in the XP lane, but Alien is going to pull out the cards a little early, though. He's going to lock. Wait a minute, there's still a Diggy on the table, and that's a Minotaur. So, but I guess they have the Kaja, so I mean they're kind of limited. If they pick up the Diggy, then the Kaja would be forced into another position, which still could be an answer if they really wanted to, but it would make it a little bit difficult to pull off. So that's a very good power move for Fireflux Impunity to kind of take control of this draft.
Yeah, the only way I could see Team Axe pulling off something to be able to get the Diggy out is if they did like a 1-3-1 combo. That'd be the only way, you know, throw Kaja in the gold lane, but they've already picked up a Bia, so that's not even possible at this point. Again, I think a Kufra, I mean, a Kufra could be a good ideal for Fimp, but they've already picked up the Mina. So again, it's going to be a little weird here. I do think a Mage is going to be the next pick. I mean, we've only seen a couple Lunoxes. I think Yeve's already banned, so it could be up in the air. Whatever, maybe a Kadita to be able to get to counter the Kasha.
I would say Kadita too, because they need the CC, right? I mean, when you're looking at 7M Dam, he's running this Kaja. He's only single target CC. Yes, he has the Ring of Order, which can provide a little bit of slow to anybody it touches, but you need more than that when it comes to these engagements. And when we were looking at Axe Team before, ooh, good play. But when we were looking at Axe Team before, their problem was they didn't have enough CC and they didn't have enough defense. And right now, they may be finding themselves in the same situation. I mean, Kaja's more meant for that solo target pickoff, but he's still damaged, and so is the Beatrix, and so is this Phygital. So we need something else to make up for it for the group sets and the sustainability, because if not, again, we're going to see a battle of offense versus defense, and we've seen how that turned out in game 1.
Yeah, most definitely. And it's going to be wild, to be honest. I mean, we're looking at Team Axe almost pulling the same comp that Fimp did to them, but to be honest, I like this Minnow pickup a lot. I mean, we're already looking at Fimp's going to be so hard to catch at this point that 7M Dan is going to be, like, he has to be on his P's and Q's at this point. Like, we're going to have to see some clutch divine judgments pulled out by Axe in order for them to catch Fimp at this point. Even that, the sustainability is going to be a problem for Axe. So we'll have to see how it pans out. Again, the Phygital's a little bit of an interesting pick. It could be the make or break it for Team Axe.
Ooh, speaking of making or breaking it, though, we are going to see this Boxia pulled in over there for Axe Team, and this is definitely going to be an interesting one that I don't think either of us would have guessed would have made its way into the draft today. That is a really risky move, though. I mean, I guess in theory, the Boxia, he can throw that shield. He can slow down Rosa, so it's a counter to the Joy. But is it the right answer for what your composition needs? Are you focusing too much on this Joy and not making up for what your team is actually lacking? Because again, that's group CC to an extent, but that's only really slow, right? He can drop that Toter's Pursuance and slow everybody and do more damage, but you need sets. And the only set potential that they have so far is really 7M Dam on the Divine Judgment. I mean, I guess you have the Phygital for that heavy left punch to possibly go in and knock them back. But I don't know if that's enough to really bank on securing a victory with, especially when it gets to the late game. I'm thinking of these late game engagements. You have a Minotaur, and you're going up against heroes that want to play up close and personal. The Kaja has to get really close for the Divine Judgment. Ooh. The Phygital has to be right in your face to take you down, and so does the Boxia. And guess what? Big bro Minotaur is right there with the Minoan Fury to knock them all up and put them on that trampoline.
That is true. This is the first time the tournament here is seeing a Boxia. I do like the ideal behind it because sustainable heroes they've been the biggest problem in this current meta. So seeing something that could play to change it is interesting, but also Team Axe picked up a Lo Yi, which I think is also the first time that it's been played in this tournament.
And okay, I can stand behind this because they needed Group CC, and I mean that's the best Group CC you're gonna get on this Lu Yi, and we know exactly why that was slotted up because they were definitely lacking in that department, and this was gonna look like a very similar story to game 1, but with that Lu Yi in the mix, I like this, right? The Aizen is running this box here. They have an answer to the Joy. The Beatrix is okay, can definitely go toe-to-toe with Sunshine, the carry, but something else that walked through. Gee, we got the Navaria. Apex picked it up.
They get the Navaria and a carry, which I mean is going to put a little bit of pressure on defensive heroes, depending on how they build. Again, it's going to be interesting because half of the team is really, really, really squishy by Team Axe.
That's right. And as we are jumping into the land of Dawn, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the quarterfinals of the Phygital Games number 9. And we are looking at Flux Impunity going up against Axe Team in a best of 3. Whoever loses this series will be taken home. Who will be able to claim victorious? Will it be Turkey? Will it be Saudi Arabia? Right now, Flux Impunity having match point advantage 1-0.
Now, I do feel like Fimp's comp is interesting. I really want to see how Nanos does with this Lo Yi. Again, you stated earlier we needed group CC, group control, and they have it. But what could be a big problem is that Rosa's not really going to be in the team area just because the Navaria is going to be staying pretty far away. So they might only be aiming to go for maybe 2 people in a set. Because I feel like Alien is also going to be really hard to catch with a Joy. I've played a Lo Yi, and it is hard to hit a bouncing around Alien. So we'll have to see how that plays out. I do feel like the Lo Yi is going to be the make it or break it for their team. What a great dodge.
Yeah, you are seeing the battle on the way. Tortoise Pursuant's dropping down. Aizen drawing first blood is going to find Tienzi. That's a good start. Takes out the jungler for Flux Impunity.
Oh, they're looking good. I feel like Axe did the same thing last game. Their early game is phenomenal. They rotate. They're on point. They're able to secure major objectives. It's just when it gets to the team comp and their ability to play as a team, I think it's lacking just a little bit more than Fimp. Fimp definitely seems to be able to pull it away when it comes to a team. Like, look, bam.
Yeah, battle on the way. Alien is going to find 7M Dam with the assistance of Apex 47 with that Minoan Fury that we talked about earlier. A powerhouse when it comes to the CC chain, and they don't really have the answers for it. I mean, they don't even have, nobody on Axe Team has Purify.
They don't. I mean, maybe they just said they weren't scared of it, but I mean, you did get taken out by the Minnow there. And it's gonna, if that keeps continuously scaling, it's gonna be a problem. Now, I do gotta say that Team Axe is definitely, their jungle's farming a lot faster than Fimp's jungle. So it could be a little bit of a weird situation as Alien is also losing their lane to Jed. The gold is just being eradicated off of that tower up there.
Yeah, definitely being eradicated already. And Joy having a little bit of a harder time. I mean, they do have the Kaja to work against him, but Kaja hasn't even rotated up there. He's just losing on the 1v1 so far. So definitely need to play a little bit more passive, maybe having somebody rotate to assist him. But as long as he doesn't fall up there and he can hold the turret, I think it will be okay. As we are going to go ahead and look at some of these items being built up. I mean, there it goes, the defensive stance from both teams this time. Axe is being more defensive, and this is what we want to see as we are moving into this amazing best of 3, the second game. Flux Impunity, they have the advantage, right? They just need to do what they did in game 1 to close this out. But Axe Team kind of switching the script, flipping the narrative, and went for that more even composition that we were hoping to see, because nobody wants to watch a one-sided story, right? We want to be at the edge of our chairs and wonder which way this is going to go, and this is exactly what we're going to get with today's game.
No, exactly. I do like Fimp's placement around the map. You got to kind of keep an eye on that. They're constantly getting vision. If they're kind of treating the map as like a quadrant or even, you know, like hexagons. But in the bottom lane, Sunshine.
Oh man, they're gonna go ahead and close out his lights right there. Nights out. But you are gonna go ahead and see TNZ claim the turtle off screen, but Apex may have lost his life, but there goes Astro Echo for the slow to be able to help him get out of there. Now, we didn't see off screen, but Sunshine got grabbed up by that Divine Judgment. You did see 7M Dam rotate down there, and he was able to help take down 50% of his HP before they rotated around to secure that kill. And that's what you have to do, right? If you're not going to be able to get these turtles, you got to find a way to get these other objectives. Find a trade. And I like what I'm seeing, the pressure on the bottom lane.
No, exactly. Both top and bottom lanes pressure are great. Blade of Despair already picked up by Beatrix here. So she's going to be doing quite a bit of damage. Boxia going for full defensive here. So keep an eye on that. Definitely build some Radiant to counter some of the mages on Fimps. So 60 seconds to the next Lord. I feel like they're going to definitely be controlling the map here, trying to maybe get a pick before the next Lord. It's about the 6-minute mark, so some people are starting to come online here, Weezy.
Yeah, definitely starting to come online, and you're already seeing the XP lanes proxy the minions from their prospective opponent, and that is a good start. That'll open up the chance for them to rotate around and be in a lot more of these engagements outside of just their lane. And with the Joy, with the Phygital, they provide that mobility that their team is kind of banking on for this game.
Oh, exactly. Both teams still kind of being tentative. Again, it's not a high kill game so far. It's mainly who can, you know, win their lane. And I do have to say that Team Axe is definitely their single lane, they're winning it. They know how to. This is definitely the same thing that we seen in last game, but we have to see if they learn from their past. Can they take the mid turret?
That's the $1 million question right there. Can they take? I mean, it was a 20-minute game and it didn't fall, so we'll see what happens this time around. But I'm liking the composition, and I think we'll have definitely a different story. But speaking of stories, TNT picking up a second turtle so far, but you're going to see Buiz find a kill. It's going to shut down Sunshine. Sunshine has fallen twice so far. The marksman for Flux Impunity, but wait a minute. Speaking of marksman, Bennett Rage drops down. TNZ very low. Manoa Fury for the knockup, and Praise's Wrath drops down. Everybody fighting it out. Isaac is going to find TNZ, but there goes the Yin Yang. Alien is going to find Nanos. Buiz is going to find Alien. And that is going to be a 2-for-1 trade.
Interesting. I mean, Team Axe looking really good this time around. They don't really have any heroes that kind of fall off. You know, I feel like the Low Yi, the longer she's in a game, the more damage she's going to do. And then the same thing goes with the Bia. Boo being 2-0-3, already stacking up. Aizen 2-0-1. So Fimp really needs to focus on these individuals. Take them out as soon as possible because they're being menaces to them.
Yeah, they're definitely being a problem. I mean, Sunshine, if Sunshine continues to fall, I mean, that's the ADC, right? And that's the late game damage dealer that they're banking on. And already taking 2 deaths in 8 minutes is not where you want to be at. That's going to delay that power spike that they're hoping for, right? But when you look at Buiz, just having an amazing showcasing so far. I mean, hasn't even fallen. It's picking up 2 kills and 3 assists. This is where you want to be. But look at the setup. Do they know Apex is in that bush? But you do have 7 of them for backup. Looks like now they're going to go ahead and shift some focus into the gold lane. And Rosa going to wrap around. Nobody, they're just playing very passive, and I admire it. But here goes the conceal play. Not going to be able to find Rosa, though. I see does transverse into the tier 2 turret. But they are going to be able to proxy this, though, for a possible siege.
They're being so patient in this top lane, though. Ooh, it's going to be a 3v3.
That's right. They spotted them out in the bushes. They were clearing those minions. Down goes Manoa Fury. Buiz trying to get away. Hit with the snipe. Very low, drops a Venice Rage, secures a kill, finds Sunshine. Yet again, his 3rd death so far. No kills, no assists. They're starving out the marksman for Flux Impunity.
Gotta say, the Boxia's actually a pretty good go here, Weezy. He's, I mean, 2-0-2, just an absolute menace. Counters Apex really well with the already built-in anti-heal. So I feel like, you know, Boxia is kind of like a counter to the current meta.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you. I've only really seen a few teams pull this off. Blacklist was one of them. When they pulled out the Boxia, Wise slotted that in, and it did work. They were going against the Joy, and it was a direct counter. Speaking of counters, speaking of plays, Lord has been slain. Axe team going to pick it up, and the diversion, but Rosa with the snipe secures the kill.
What a snipe, Rosa. Able to catch the Bia off the guard as well as Nanos. That's a good go. They got Lord, but you were able to put down their MM. I feel like that is kind of a equal trade. It's only the first Lord